Someone's moving their mic. He's already complaining.
It's probably Jason, dude.
All right, guys. We don't see anybody yet.
Calm down, dude.
There we go. Still can do. Rude, crude food. First comment. We got one person watching.
Yes.
Fire.
We're up to 3.
Me.
Boom.
Red backpack.
And the red backpack's here.
Red backpack. Oh,
here
we go. They all forget we are here. Kirk, no, we don't. We give you guys time to share this out. Let everybody know we're tuning in tonight. We're going to ask, and I don't want no lying, because last week I said, how do we sound? And everyone's all like, great, good. What? And then I listened to it afterwards. We sounded like crap, guys. So,
well, that's kind of like when you get smoked fish from customers. You say, "Oh yeah, it's great."
Yeah, so good.
We have a big prize today. I don't even know what it is.
600 viewers.
600 viewers, guys. Oh, I just saved your
just
life,
broke.
Ryan. No, we're not giving one of these away. Get another reel.
That's it. That's what we're giving away.
No.
They already saw it.
Nope.
Hell
No, they
yeah,
didn't.
dude. What else we got in there, Marlon?
Nope. Well, we're not going to get to 600 because you guys aren't going to like and share. But put it this way: either one of you guys are getting this, or I'm
keeping
taking it home. There we go. 600 viewers. ITX 3000. One of the nicest, compact,
Break it out.
little spinning reels I have ever
Marlin.
fished. I put them on all my bass rods. I love them.
What do you got?
Solid, solid. So,
What are you
Here
guys
we go.
doing?
I'm showing them what the real is.
Is that
I
the
got
eye-
it going, Marlon. So, either you guys are getting this, or I'm getting this.
Oh, the handle's broken, dude.
Oh, the handle's broken. Oh, yeah, we can't.
Yeah, you better pass
Yep,
it over
yep,
here.
The handle's broken. We definitely don't want to hand this out.
The handle's floppy. Those things are sick.
Yeah.
I fish them on my fall Chinook rods. I fish the 4000s.
I love them on my bass.
I'm gonna get
rods.
rid of this bead that I keep bouncing around before cameras.
You're gonna do
yelling
it?
at me.
But if it only goes to $5.99, Hannah, let me tell you, I get a new ITX.
I like that
Feels
they,
good.
That's what happened.
I like
get a
that
new
they
ITX.
put this rubber or this.
Oh
like,
yeah, to get your line
to
started.
Get your line grabbed on there.
You don't have to do the
They're
old
just
tape
so
trick anymore, huh?
No.
They're so smooth. So like when you're like
Yeah.
working a jig or something like that, and you're like feeling like there's no when you go to reel, like some reels there's like a delay, and
Yeah,
you get
yeah,
like this
like-
weird bump.
yeah.
Like those things are so smooth, you can feel. Pretty
Dude, they're
awesome.
cool too. They
Yeah,
reel
a lot of times
backwards
it's,
as well.
Oh man, we got the reel handle on the wrong side, Scott. No, we don't. Nice try.
Quit it.
No. Just gotta turn
Over
it
and
upside
like
down.
Guys,
like
I
that.
asked,
Upside down.
I asked, how do we sound? How do we sound, guys? Like, talk to us here. What are we hearing? What are we hearing on the back end, Clint? Good.
It's hard. It's good.
Good. Bad.
What are you trying
Any
to say? We're
different?
loud.
You guys, we need your help here. We need your help here. We got Mr. Nick Popov, minus green gloves.
What's up? Now
Sorry
I got
about
my
the-
white ones on
sorry about
today.
the-
Look at that.
Sorry about the
new
glare off
new
your
version,
hand.
huh? Version.
And Ryan McCollum, Riverside Guide Service. He's down here. We're doing a little boat work, getting ready for the sturgeon season.
Sturgeon season, kind of
Fine.
last maintenance before the just nonstop fishing.
Oh, because really for me, like I always say, mid-January for steelhead, so it's like sturgeon, steelhead, and then I got to start springer fishing from the last live feed. You weren't here, but I have to start
Yeah,
springer fishing
tomorrow.
in February because if I do, Nick's giving me $100, so I have to go fishing like one time in
So you're
February.
going to the channel.
I probably will go to the channel.
He's got to go somewhere and fish. No, I think
I got to give it an effort.
an effort.
I got to get, and what
I
I'm
told
going
him
to
I'd pay him $100. So I know his ass ain't going.
I
Doesn't
know,
have to be
I-
a springer, or you can go get a blackmouth up north.
well, I would if I knew how to do that.
Oh.
Just throw a little spoons around.
I do that.
Don't you have those downriggers for
I
kokanee?
do. Yeah. Does that count?
Yeah.
It does.
No.
Damn.
It's got to
Well,
be.
either way, I got the gas paid for February 28th.
Yeah. He's gonna go out the day before it ends.
I'm gonna go smash some springers. So, but yeah, that's like if you think about it, someone's gonna catch one in the next 4.5 weeks.
It says, "Way to go, Clint! It sounds great for once." Dude, you
Is
guys
it sounding good, guys? Cam sound is a little low, but that's how we like it. I would have to agree with that. Last week it was like, I mean, I'm always loud and obnoxious, but it was even a little more loud and obnoxious than normal.
That's funny,
Right.
dude. No, you sound great, dude.
Yeah, you
Go
sound
back-
good. I go
go
back and
and
listen to it. I'm
it's
like,
just like,
what
oh my
the heck is this? Oh, if
How
someone
many
has
people we
to
got
pay
up
up
in here?
$100, it better be in $1. He'd probably pay it to me in pennies.
I
All right,
might-
guys.
I'll do something funny and I'll video it too.
All right, Marlon's saying good, better, best.
Sounds really good.
Sounds really good.
I don't have to max my phone volume out to hear you.
Oh, that's fortunate. That's fortunate. So ITX guys, I think $140 real at retail. We're gonna give that away. 600 viewers. We're at 350 right now. We're letting you guys. We're talking.
Share it out there.
Share it out there. We're talking the extra 10%, like the extra 10%. What it takes and what you guys do to catch a few more steelhead, or to be a little more efficient, or to have a little better day on the water. Guess you can kind of be all of that, because sometimes that extra 10% gets you one fish.
Right. But
But
sometimes
the one
that-
fish that matters.
Yeah, yeah. I always say it's like 1 or 2 more fish in a day is like what you're shooting for.
Yeah.
That's what separates the average guy from someone who does it on a consistent basis and catches a lot of fish. 1 or 2 fish. 1, 2, 3 more opportunities out the day is a lot of opportunity.
Especially for us in a full season. When you look
Oh,
at over a
for
90-day season or a 60-day season, you're talking a bunch of fish at the end of the day.
Yeah, if you add another fish or 2 a day, I mean, you're looking
Yeah.
at another 100 and something.
And
fish.
sometimes that 1 or 2 is the game changer. Just like, oh, that person lost a couple and
Right.
farmed them off. Or
yeah.
And like the
0 to
rigging
0.
and the importance, like when you do get that 1 or 2 bites, you capitalize on it too. I saw someone like chime in there, well, winter chrome blend. It's like, well, yeah, scent is definitely going to be part of that discussion today too. Yeah, so guys, but this conversation is always really cool because I always get a lot of really neat tips from you guys as well. It's a good conversation. And okay, now I know too Hottie is trolling because he asked us pop-off guide.
Nope, first time.
No, he doesn't guide. He just kills. Kills fish.
We guided once. It was cool.
As he
just got a boat yesterday.
New boat.
Just don't ask him to row. Just kidding.
That's a stretch.
Just kidding.
I'm not.
What's up?
That's right.
That's right. He's smart. Hey,
Thank you,
but think
Minnesota.
about that. Think about that. If you can get back to the top of the hole, like 10 seconds faster, that's one more cast. You're like a bass guy now.
Yeah.
That's why bass guys drive 80,000 miles an hour, because if they can get 2 extra casts, it might be those 2 extra casts
Could be a
that
5
like
pounder.
Oh, yeah.
catch them. They're winning fish that's
Yep.
worth 100 grand.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Extra 10%. Cam, you sound far away, says Alexis. I wonder if it's my mic or me. What do you think? We're letting you guys chime in. We're letting you guys do this. Can I use a gummy worm to catch a steely? Absolutely.
I can.
Absolutely.
I proved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yes.
You were there.
How about really low water steelhead fishing, like 3 to 4 feet? We'll talk about some low water. We just did a podcast, guys. For those of you guys that don't know, we do an addictive fishing podcast, and a lot of that talk was like not necessarily about the gear, but like the strategy that goes into like not just walking down into a hole, throwing whatever I had tied on my rod, 2 casts later and leaving, like making sure. And like, I'm just going to say it right now, like Nick is an expert at grinding every last ounce of fish out of a hole. I'll say that because
Yep.
like if it's a smolt like that big, he'll get it too. We've got videos.
There's no trout in here.
There's no fish safe.
I'll never forget that. Cam
We've
told
got
me.
and Andy Henry got a couple super chats. Can y'all start wearing Kniggy Wiggy hats? That's some old school
Dude, that's
stuff there, Andy. We
that's
should.
old
We
school.
should. You guys sound a lot better. Have Marlon listen and see what he thinks. I think he did. He already popped his head in here, Brian, and kind of gave us. He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't have to turn my phone up all the way to make it sound like it should. So far, yeah, we're looking good. Steelhead would eat a shoelace. A gummy worm is like steelhead candy. Yes, I would agree.
Very
Thanks for
much.
posting the name of Pop-Off's Guide Service. That's right. It's Peel the Reel. And we got
Peel.
Mr. Ryan McCon here from Riverside. And we got Jason Harmson in the background from Steel Obsession. I know he's not hearing that right now because the
I like
door's
that name.
closed.
I like the name.
Steel
Steel Obsession. Especially when you whisper it like that.
I see a lot of
Yeah,
people
talk like
comment
that.
on different stuff, and I cleaned a steelhead last year that had tons of plastic in it.
Oh, dude, they pick
Like,
up everything. off the
Chunks of
bottom.
plastic, gray, clear.
I've seen them with rocks in their bellies.
Yeah. Cigarette butts.
Oh, I've seen a few of those. But it's what they do is I think they filter like we cleaned one that had a bunch of
Oh.
stuff in it and it had rocks in the belly, and I think it's just as they filter that stuff, they eat it and try to spit it out. And, I mean, when I was in Alaska, I caught a halibut that had like a 7-pound rock in its stomach, huge, like boulder, dude. Like,
You ain't passing that one.
no, he stayed there.
Well, I've heard
He hugged the bottom really
the
good.
biologist
He
on
stayed
that. There was a
down.
biologist that day that I cleaned that fish that had a ton of stuff, and they said they were eating it out in the ocean because the way it was so far down its stomach, and like they just
Oh,
kind of looked at it and said that
It wasn't something he picked up just.
no,
Last day or
because
two.
there's a lot of garbage that floats around the ocean. They say they just go out there and they're just eating and picking up stuff.
I'm gonna start fishing pieces of plastic.
Have you ever caught a walleye with lead that it picked up?
Yeah, I've seen that, dude. Like 4 ounces.
Oh, shut up! Wow, I totally like over my head. Yeah, yeah. And I hear they like 12
Dude,
ounces.
Cam was literally
preferably. I was
looking at you like,
huh?
what?
I'm like, what did I miss? Did you?
Walleye love picking up those
Walleye.
roll-off leads.
Dude, wrapped in fillets, dude. I heard
That's
it
what I
works
hear.
good.
Oh yeah, fillets too. They like to prep their little
Yeah, they
their
prep
little
their
cousins.
meals.
They cut them. And, yeah.
Oh my god, dude. Who would do that, dude? That's next level.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. But no, guys, we are letting you guys tune in. How many people we got? 450. 150 more. I mean, come on, do it
Side
just
cam.
in spite. Yeah, side cam real quick. Look at this. ITX reel right here. Kuma ITX at 3000. Absolute sick reel. I love these little guys.
They are a great reel.
Great reels. I mean, as smooth as they get. I can tell you what though, if 600 people don't chime in live, I'm taking this thing home. But
And he will.
I'm going to. I got a new rod. I got to put it on. So
Yeah, that's
you
right.
know, it's waiting. It's got my name on it. Unless you guys like and share this out, maybe we'll have another prize pack in there too. But I think
Like a sticker or something.
yeah, like a sticker or a hat. So that's the consolation prize. Come on, guys. Come on. We got weights and fish. Yes. There you go. Cam's greedy. Well, sorry, Mick. You know what? I guess that's
Gotta
the
get it
good,
where
the
you
good part
can.
about running the show, I guess. We'll send it out to you. You guys do that. So, couple things real quick. Puyallup show.
Yeah.
We got Puyallup show coming up first week of February. Don't hold me exactly to the dates. We are going to be doing bashes at the show where we're going to do live seminars, live giveaways. We may have some live video content there. Kind of don't know, but basically the O'Loughlin shows have kind of given us a blank slate to put on a cool evening of stuff to do. And as you guys know, in typical Addicted Bash fashion, we'll be giving a lot of stuff away, hanging out. It'll be a couple hours, good fun. I don't know the exact date because the door's not open, so Marlon can't chime in on what the actual Addicted night is going to be at the Puyallup show. I want to say it was the Saturday, was it? Because it's different. Because I know the
Saturday,
Portland show,
Thursday at Portland.
the
What's the
Portland
day of the
show,
shows?
it's going to
The bash.
be
The bash. So the Puyallup show is February 1st through the 5th. The bash is the
4th.
Saturday. The
4th. Yeah.
Saturday the 4th.
So at Puyallup show, guys, it's going to be on Saturday the 4th. And on the Portland show, it's going to be Thursday the 16th. But we will be there the whole time with booths, with apparel, everything to sell. Come meet and greet. We will be there to some extent.
Before this live feed is over, the tickets will be up for
Before this live feed is over, the tickets will be up for
sale.
sale for the bash. So you guys are going to be the first ones to have crack. They are limited. Unfortunately,
Yes.
we had to, let's just be honest, a lot of you guys like to show up to these things, and we had, because of crowd control stuff and because of venue max capacities, I guess we have to do tickets this year. We just don't have a choice. So
So what he's saying,
we're doing
is
tickets,
go
and you
get
guys are
them
the first ones to hear now.
now.
So,
As soon as they're available, get on there and get them.
but Marlon's like feverishly working in the background to get that going. Yep.
Feverishly is
all
right. It's hot
makes-
as hell. out here.
It is.
Who all makes up the Addicted crew? I don't know do we have a crew?
It's a crew, bro.
Do we have a crew? Because I mean, we've got like Mike, Hayden, Jeremy, Colt, Robbie, like in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Jordan, Nick, Dave, myself, Ryan, Jason, a bunch of different guides. I mean,
Yeah.
who am I like?
Swanson.
Swanson. Yeah, I mean, just Alex, Sean, our camera guys, Clint, our
Producer.
producer. I mean, we know like
He's
we
doing a
we
hell of
use
a
that
job
term
too.
that.
very, very, very. We use that term very, very lightly. He's our producer. He's gonna knock over the lights while we're here and probably break the camera. I don't know.
He was doing really good tonight until then, huh?
That's right.
What's that now? Oh,
So what he's saying is
so there's a lot of there's
Yes.
a ton of moving parts, and then of course it's all of our partners and our manufacturer sponsors, and then all you guys that support. So like, if you want to talk about a crew, it's in the thousands
Yeah.
of like
I mean,
people
we
that
got
kind
a
of
lot
like
of people that
bring this together.
assist.
Who all makes So
Teamwork
anyways,
makes the dream work.
teamwork. Yeah, there's no way.
This thing don't run by ourselves.
For
One-
as rickety
one-man
as this show is, thanks to Clint, I had to throw that in there. Like it actually takes.
Did
a
you just
lot.
mute his mic?
He probably could now. He probably doesn't know how to do that. So it doesn't really
Clint's
matter.
gonna go aggro one day, dude. Just
Just
snuff you out.
They don't call it postal anymore.
Yeah.
Brad Smith says Jordan is the only unemployed member. No, actually, Jordan does such a good job doing videos. He is actually employed by Dig
Oh, here, I'll
to
turn
make
you back.
videos. Like, so we actually do, and then like our guys in the shop, we have full-time guys, part-time guys, camera guys. Sean's full-time. Like, there's a lot of pieces to that to where like, you know, we have to do that. You know, without your guys' support, like we wouldn't be able to like basically have those guys full-time and the brand would be nothing. So the reality is it's a lot of moving parts, but you guys made it that way, I guess.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
When are we going to get Big Dave on the show?
Well,
Thomas, if it wasn't for the 80-mile-an-hour gusts and
Yeah.
the flooding and his home being in the dark for 3 days and falling apart,
Did you
him
lose
not-
any of those
and
big
his
trees
words-
behind his house?
no, but they haven't had power for 3 days, and like it's crazy.
yeah,
He said his
Yeah,
house looks
his-
like a spider web with how many extension cords are plugged into generators. He's like, it is a fire hazard.
his words. He also said he hadn't taken a shower in like 4 days. So
Yeah.
he was like, "You don't want me in there." He had a lot
Yeah.
going on. We just had, for those guys that don't know, there was a pretty big storm that kind of blew through the coast over Christmas, and then the day after, and really kind of, I was down there too. We lost power, and it was it is what it is. So making it work, but we'll
Saw
get it
some
in
of
here
those
soon.
pictures of the waves on those king tides. Crazy down there in Astoria.
Dude, I seen one that showed all the foam, like the sea foam that was there. I think it was like Cannon Beach or something. I've never seen anything like
It's
it.
crazy,
Like
yeah.
feet of it and just blowing all over the place.
No, so we'll get him in here. The idea was it was supposed to be tonight.
Yeah, an inch thick
It
of
really
ice and then 80-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, let me drive.
I was in Mexico the day before that happened. I don't know. I was kind of in culture shock when I got back. I was
Right.
like, what am I doing?
Take me back.
Yeah.
Power on the coast, the way the coast has been. Yeah, exactly, Georgia.
You
has
got it.
Been messed up. Let's see here. I caught my first Steely 17 years ago at Christmas Day. Best present ever, says Matthew. Best electric smoker. How do we book trips with you guys? Well, let's talk about that real fast because Nick Popov, Peel the Reel.
Yeah,
know the deal?
easiest way to book through me is either you can go on Facebook or my guide or peelthereelguideservice.com and book through my website. There's a little link on there that you fill out and it'll send an email to me. I try to respond as quickly as possible, but a lot of times it's service issues, and so don't get frustrated if I haven't responded in the first day.
Was that what that post was about?
Oh, I don't know. Was there one?
Oh, someone's like, "Oh, I'm trying to reach a bunch of guys on the Oregon coast. I'm not getting anybody." I'm like,
Well,
Probably
well,
only
they
has
either,
power.
I was gonna say, I'm like, they either lost power or they're already booked. So it's
Yeah,
one of the two.
yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
it's tough.
It is tough when you're out there and you're working in and out of service, and like I stay at Dave's house, and as you see, it goes through little stages of power outages,
Little
and,
shenanigans.
and there's just no service up there in general, so you're on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, say you got to get a
Yeah.
couple miles down the road,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you're
Yep.
good.
But yeah, that's the easiest way. What about you there, Ryan? How do people book?
Yeah,
with
what are
you?
we doing?
I
next
kind of
couple
got it dialed in. My wife does all my
Yeah.
booking, so you guys
Here
can
we go.
contact us at 253-397-7780, or you can hit us up on Facebook. And my wife is always there to help people answer questions and get you on the calendar and tell you what you need to bring each day. So
She definitely does a great job because you suck
yeah,
at
it took years because when we met, she never fished or didn't have all that knowledge
Right.
to talk to people, and so a lot of people would call up and want to know certain stuff, and it took a little bit of time. But now she just rolls with it, and it makes it really easy for me, so I can stay on fish and concentrate on my boat and gear and
That's super.
fishing.
Yeah, my wife does a lot of my Facebook stuff too, like because I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
I just don't go on Facebook a whole lot. So she goes in through mine, gets my messages.
What do you mean? You're only fishing 10 hours a day. What's wrong with you?
I know. It's actually weird. You know, I take December off, and it is like, it's crazy.
Keep going.
I take December off, and it's just weird being off the water for a month. It's like, you know, it's nice because you finally get some rest, but this it feels like a lifetime, dude.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it's like it's just weird being off the water for that long because you go through these stretches where you're fishing every day for God knows how long, and being off is just kind of weird, but it's nice. Get to spend time with the family, catch up with the kids, and
You're going to take a month. December's the month. Kids are off school, too.
for
and
sure.
so-
They get a big portion of that time off.
I
It's
was
great
in-
for the family.
I was in Mexico and I was only supposed to fish 3 days. I fished 5 and I should have been on there. I should have fished the day that I was flying out. 'Cause I was like, oh, my plane's not leaving till 5. I think I can make it out.
I got
there
one more day.
and catch a few more fish. But yeah, I've been just chomping at the bit just
I'm
to
ready.
get out there and chase steelhead again. You know, I feel like everyone always asks me what's your favorite thing to fish for, and it has to be steelhead because of the challenge and the conditions. And I've always said it separates the men from the boys, the guys that are willing to go out there day in, day out and fight the conditions. And
For sure.
and you guys know as well as me, like those days, like sometimes you think it's going to be blown, and those are the epic
And those
days.
are the
You're
best
just like,
days.
oh man, I can't stop.
And then you know you have this like envision of like, oh, I'm gonna fish probably this day or this day, and you're like, oh, I'll stretch in a day early, and then you crush them, and then the next day that you thought was gonna be good is
No
sucks.
good. And
It's
you're like,
what is
oh, if I
going
would have just
on,
went
dude?
2 days
Yeah.
earlier, I'd
I
had
should have
some
gone the day
epic
before
days,
that.
yeah.
You know, it's a fun game for sure. It's pretty crazy. How many people we got in here?
I was just looking at that. So for those of you guys that are just tuning in and seeing me spin this like little fancy reel right here, that's ultra smooth, ultra light. I don't even know like how to even describe it, but it's yours if we get over 600 people, and we've got over 450 now. But you guys are gonna be liking and sharing this out, because if not, I take this reel home. And it's brand
Like I
new in the
said,
box.
he's
I
Sounds
just,
like I need to
I just
take it
took
home.
it out
I
of the
haven't
box.
tried it out yet. I better prototype that on Captain's
Nope,
rod.
nope,
That's
you
it.
don't you don't need to prototype anything else. It needs to go on a bass rod is what it needs to do. But
Oh,
it's a
geez.
great
Oh,
maybe a great-
geez.
Yeah, I said it. Shut up. But yeah, here it is.
Cam's retiring
and,
and become a professional
it
bass
is your
fisherman.
guys' reel if you get over 600 people. If not, we'll figure out another like prize. It might be a sticker. Hat or something like
One of these ones we peel off here.
that. Yeah. We got a little peachy ring here too. So
Oh, those are legit.
yeah, they are good, aren't they? They are good.
I'd eat one, but I'd be spitting all over the place. Just they make your mouth water.
What's it now?
They make your mouth water. I'd be spitting all over, like you're going to in just a second.
We'll start drilling on the table. Is that what the towel's for?
Yeah, that's why he's got a towel there.
So I have a towel here. I'm gonna wear this out before we give it away
Whoa.
now. I don't think that's anything real. Anyways,
Oh my
I
god! What in God's green earth?
don't-
Dr. Mike Magic. Sorry, guys, we're reading a comment here.
That's too much.
That is whoa.
Can you catch a steelhead peach rings? Absolutely. Dude, you could make this a feed all day
I'm just
long. Are
gonna
you
say
kidding
it.
me right now?
Steelhead are sugar-oriented
Yeah.
creatures. Like anything with sugar, they'll bite.
Yep. Oh, look, Cam, he's making a bead over here.
I'm gonna make the best bead in the world right now. You don't even know.
I truly believe when the conditions are right and the fish are there, you can catch a steelhead on pretty much anything that looks like that, smells like that.
Go side cam. I mean, come on, like it's not really.
It's
all
kind
the way
of got the
around.
two-tone, dude. Is that
It's got-
core shot?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I know.
Shot. Yeah. See, I could do it.
A little core shot gummies.
Oh,
Flip
look,
it over.
there's
Let's see
there's
the other
reel,
side.
There's the reel. Yeah, it's not that cool on the other side.
Yeah, but you got the two colors. Come on now.
That'll work. It looks like a Yarny, right?
It does kind
Do
of.
people use those anymore?
Oh, I don't know what they are.
You play it? Oh gosh. Yep. Knees for the win. Cool.
Yeah, let's hear some of your guys' little. What do you guys do to become 10% better? I want to hear some ideas.
I'm reading a lot of your guys' questions right now just to get this thing going, but we did a podcast beforehand, guys. We talked a lot about some of the strategy and the approach to a hole, and basically not shooting yourself in the foot before you even take a cast. We talked a lot about some of the gear, staying tight to lines, making sure your hook's always sharp, like taking that extra 2 seconds to just making sure your hook point. No, I have not even tried to go after a local winner yet. I lied. I did try for like 2 hours one morning in the sled. And then I realized it was survey day.
That was a good comment. The way to
dropped the rod down.
beat you guys to the hole. That's a good one. That's
Yeah,
10% of
that's
it right
10%
there.
of it.
No,
That
it
could be
before
more like
us.
25.
Yeah, it gets up there. I like that one. I honestly, like, I think a lot of like the 10% comes from preparation, like, and that's where a lot of mine, like, I truly believe, like, being prepared for every scenario, every condition before the season starts, not setting up on the river, not like waiting for the conditions to come to me. I'm ready for the conditions, basically. And I think that's what separates a lot of people, and where a lot of people fail, you know, is like not being prepared for what they're walking into.
Oh,
And
yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm months of prep coming into winter steelhead season. I'm constantly getting stuff,
Right.
adjusting and
Mhm.
tying stuff. And
yeah, and just like knowing what your fishery involves is super important in what you're preparing for, you know, because there's so many different ways to catch steelhead, and there's every river has a different, you know, scenario, whether it's bobber dogging or jig fishing, or like I know a lot of the rivers can fish is like you fish jigs a lot, you know, and or you know you have rivers that are, I guess, better for jig fishing, or you catch more fish on jigs, and then there's rivers that like the jig isn't really an option, you know, it's just too big, too fast, you know, too
Yeah.
much moving water. So it's like being prepared for your scenario is super important, and knowing what you're walking into is one of my biggest like preparation. I
and
have
not
to
getting
say.
hung up. We've all fished together.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
don't get hung up on one thing. Like,
Yep.
make sure you're adjusting and throughout the day trying
Right.
different stuff that you know works for you guys. And that's probably one of the biggest things right there.
For sure.
So what do you mean though, like adjusting gear? Like, so like right now,
I don't
And-
care
and
if you
I
caught 10
appreciate-
steelhead yesterday on that. Like, today they might not bite it, and there's something that's going to set them off, you know?
and so like Koala's like super chat there was basically, can we talk about what you do in high water? I'm having no luck. I mean, right now, I mean, with high water situations, right? Like, it seems like you go from like not having fishable water to like all of a sudden, like you go from no fishable water, and that first day that, and when we say fishable water, everyone's definition of fishable is different, right? Because like
I love
some
not
guys,
fishable
some-
water.
Me too.
right? Because some guys like will fish high water that has visibility of like 8 to 10 inches, but we all know that there's like going to be like after a drop, there's like that one freaking day
Mhm.
that you hear about 2 days later
Right.
that you're never there on time. So one thing about fishing high water is if the river is out, visibility is less than a foot. It's high muddle flooding. Like right now, let's just be honest. There's some creeks that are fishing today.
Today.
Oh, yeah.
That were probably the day to probably be there was today.
Right.
But then those are going to quickly go away, and then this other area
Yeah.
is going to clear, and then you're going to want to be there. And the reason why is because you're picking on the fish that have moved up into the river that are going to be using that dropping, clearing water to get up as fast as they can.
Yep.
You're going to have fresh fish in the system. So when you say like, if you're not having, talk about what we do in high water, I'd say really understanding like where I'm fishing in the high water, and then because like I said, you're gonna have like the little creeks are gonna fish better than the big river. But then when you have to go to the big river, like how you're fishing it,
Right.
what are you doing? Like you're fishing big, you're fishing bright, you're fishing inside seams, you're fishing stuff to where like maybe it's only as far off the bank as your rod tip.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You gotta like,
It also depends if you're in a boat or on the bank. Like,
Yep.
you know, no one ever talks about a lot of plunking for winter steelhead
That's
anymore.
a huge high water.
And
factor.
like, to me, if I'm going to fish high water and I don't have a boat, I'm going to find a good spot, build
Go
me a
plunk.
fire, nice bend where they're going to come around the brush, and I'm going to be patient with good sand shrimp or a
Yep,
good
good
plug
eggs
with
or
some
plugs.
scent wrapped on it, you know, mag lip.
Yep.
And I'm telling you what, I've seen days where it's just rod going off every 30 minutes, and you
That's
got
when
one
those
stick
fish are
out.
moving.
Yeah.
that's those fish are moving, and you guys talked about being prepared for that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guarantee you right now, these guys both, and I especially know this guy here anyways, you've probably got a bunch of 20 mil bright beads on big hook leaders with probably a little heavier line because you can get away with it tied
Oh,
up
yeah.
for these conditions. And then as the conditions go down and things, you know, you're going to be
Right.
sizing out, but you have that whole assortment. You're not going out and trying to, when the water gets up and drops down, you're not going out and trying to buy beads that
No.
day.
No.
Or
I
that-
got
or that night
I got
before, 'cause they're
plastic
gone.
Rubbermaid
'Cause
totes
they're
for
gone.
every like water height, color, condition.
Oh, geez. Harv's is like 20 mil. 20
One
mil,
thing I
20
want to say for you guys that are fishing from the bank, and everyone always overlooks it, I back troll huge spinning glows with jumbo jet divers and ripping water and high current with trees going by, and I'm talking stuff you guys would plunk at Bonneville, like mega spinning glows.
Yeah.
Huge
Well-
sand shrimp, like sturgeon sand shrimp that are this big, and you can't have too much presentation. And I've had just days where it's 4 to 6 inches of viz,
And it's the
and,
day.
and all we're doing is cleaning grass off of our dropper to our diver, and can't keep them in the water, and guys are going, that's a salmon
It's not
spinning glow.
fishable,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
well, don't tell them that.
Yeah, exactly.
So definitely don't be shy to throw something really big spinning glows out there on this high water stuff, you guys.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
think about what they eat. I mean, think about a summer steelhead. Did they catch them at plunking at Bonneville with big spinning gloves?
A lot of times naked.
naked.
Yeah.
and that's
Every
how I
year,
grew up
every
fishing.
year, I
mean,
will catch a couple steelhead in the Columbia fishing early springers, especially this year when I do it in February on herring, on green label
Damn
herring.
Yeah.
Do we miss another super chat back there, Clint? Before we get to that one, I'm sorry. I know you were trying to. What type? Christos Lefor. What type of drifting tactic would you use? Would you guys use during faster moving currents, like weight wise?
I mean, it just depends on what technique you're going to use. Like if you're bobber dogging,
Enough to hit the bottom. That's
Yeah,
the answer.
I mean,
I don't know what else you want. No, I'm just
and,
kidding.
and well, it is. I mean, it sounds stupid, but it is. I mean, ultimately, when you're at fast current, you got to get down to the bottom and you got to have it fish effectively. If you're moving, if you're tapping the bottom and blowing out instantly, you're not fishing. So it's finding the right amount of weight for the scenario that you're fishing. And it all depends on the technique, if you're drift fishing or if you're bobber dogging or whatever. But I always, like, a rule of thumb for me is like, try to fish slower, get your gear to run slightly slower than the current speed.
And you're doing that by tapping the bottom. I remember the old school like
Right.
drifting days with the pencil lead and the
Oh
egg thing
yeah,
on the hatch.
oh yeah.
Like you started off, you went to a run and you'd start fishing off of a lead a little heavier
Yep.
than you
Mhm.
think you needed.
Snip
You'd
it down.
cast
And cut it
figure
down,
and
yeah.
Drag, drag,
Yeah.
cut a little off. Drag. Okay, yeah, feeling a little better. Cut a little off. Like, oh, there it is.
Catch a fish.
And then you'd find where you're making some like, and everybody's contact's a little different. Some people like it just
dredging.
dredging. Some people like it just one there, 6 feet later, one.
Ah.
I think that's kind of the best, but you're not slowing it down as much.
Right.
I like the dredging if I'm salmon fishing more,
Mhm.
for king salmon especially, but when it's steelhead, I like that tick, 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 tick.
Yeah, just like a
yeah,
constant.
tick.
I always envision like your weight just kind of rolling along the bottom rather than digging into the bottom and catching every 2 seconds. You got to think as that weight dredging into the bottom. I mean, it's so much more unnatural to those fish. Every time that weight gets hung up and you pull on your rod, you're yanking your gear out. And it's like, so it's super important to kind of match your weight to the current. And a lot of guys, they go out with one lead or this setup that they caught a fish on, last year or something like that. And steelhead fishing is about adapting to your conditions because very rarely are you ever fishing the same conditions. You're getting
I
high
think
water, low
that-
water,
The part of that 10%, and I know you guys do, like, don't get hung up on one weight. If you just fish Dave's tangle free,
right?
like
Mm-hmm.
different rocks I've noticed over the years, like
Right.
different style of weights. Sometimes I'm running stick weights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm running
For sure.
slinkies. Sometimes I'm
Mhm.
running the Daves. So bigger rock, smaller gravel,
Right.
water conditions,
Mm-hmm.
and usually that adjusts by height where that steelhead likes. But you guys know as well as I do, those steelhead seem to like a certain current speed, regardless
sure.
of height or
Mhm.
flow. They're always like to sit in that
Same
speed.
little speed of current.
Yeah.
And if you start to pay attention to where you're catching these fish, that's what a lot of guys don't do. They fish a run and they hook a fish, and then later that day they hook another one down in another hole. Well, if you start to think back on where you hooked those fish, it's going to be real similar on
Yeah.
those positionings of where those fish were, whether it was on the inside or the outside of a run or whatever it is. They tend to be pretty predictable fish if you can start to dial them in.
One thing I always look at too is like when you talk about paying attention to where fish are hooked, and I had this in my notes for today, is like I always believe like when you're fishing like a vertical jig or just like a fixed float jig setup, or you're fishing like a single bead, just chandeliered, barely tapping on the bottom. Like if you're watching, like where you're casting out that bob and you're working a run, you know, from shore to far shore, working, figuring out where it is. Like you ever notice like your bobber will like be going like a speed, and all of a sudden it will just kind of like
Yes.
take a little bit of edge off, and
Yeah.
it just kind of like the water looks the same, but that bobber as it's going through the run will just kind of like tap the brakes a little bit and
Just
slow
slows it
down. And I swear to you, especially in this one small creek I fish, like those spots are like those fish. They're down there swimming around. They feel like, oh, this is a little softer right here
That's
in
that
the
break
cover.
they're looking for.
Like those spots produce fish over and over and over again. And watching those, like not just understanding that I caught a steelhead in this run, but understanding that I caught a steelhead like that little middle outside seam, like in the middle, like where that thing slows down. And so sometimes you'll cast by it and it doesn't slow down. It doesn't slow down. Then all of a sudden you go through it and it slows down a little bit
And
that
you're
one
like,
time.
I got it. Yeah.
And, it's like, and then when I do that and I don't get them bite, well, then there's not fish there.
There's no fish there.
And I've seen those windows like 4 inches, 6 inches. Like if that bobber's off just a touch, you're not getting bit.
For sure.
And if it's in that 4-inch window,
game
it's
on.
going down every time.
So utilizing, so like paying really that extra 10%, I guess you could like chalk up to like paying attention to your bobber speed.
Yes.
Just kind of understanding that like you're not fishing a run, you're fishing each part of a run, each part of a hole.
Right.
There's just no question. You want to make sure you're just covering all.
And as that high water, like he was speaking about high water, is like every day the river's changing, it's dropping or it's rising or whatever it is. Those fish are going to reposition in different spots, you know. And I think one of the huge mistakes that anglers make, even experienced anglers, like guys that I take out on a regular basis, have this mentality of like, I caught a fish in this run, you know, in this spot, right? I cast it out in the middle, and it was like, well, today the river's 2 feet higher, and those fish are going to be at your feet versus being out in that. I see it. Areas of the run. Oh, that was weird.
We okay, Clint?
I don't know. But you see that, you know, these guys fishing like areas that they've caught fish previously. Well, the conditions are probably not the same.
You never
day.
fish the same river twice.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just it. It's like seriously pay attention to your river and what it's doing. Is it dropping? Is it rising? You know, are these fish going to be moving? Are they going to be holding? You know, as that river starts to get lower and lower, those fish are probably going to slow down a little bit, move in the morning, move at the night. So you'll fish tail outs and stuff like that versus just, you know, as it gets lower, you're going to fish more in the current and the meat of the hole. When it's higher, you're going to fish more at your feet, kind of, you know, more on the inside pocket, soft water. Hopefully that helps him with high water stuff. And you can catch them on anything. In the high water, your same tactics are going to work. It's going to be more important than what's on the end of your hook is going to be more important of where you're putting that hook. You know what I mean? Conditions.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, that's I would say probably.
Well, why do you think we make a freaking 6-inch worm?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Big and bright. Glitch in the matrix, spaz attack. We had a couple super chats real quick, and then I've got an idea.
Wormson, get in here. We'll squeeze you in here, dude.
Well, I was going to squeeze out and sit in that chair and grill you guys. This will actually be fun. How do y'all rig up the new soft beads pop-off help develop? They do not have a hole through the center.
So there's 2 ways you can do it. Well, I'm sure there's more than 2 ways, but I run a little glass bead. Do we have one?
Do we have one? Do we have one of those beads? I don't think we do.
Do we have a soft bead?
I do have soft beads. No.
Right,
oh, wait, I do have. Oh, no, I have. I don't think there's soft ones in there, but I do have.
I have some in my truck.
Paper towels right there, Ryan.
I have some in my truck. Hey.
Hello.
He's prepared. Oh, no. No.
It's just a bead.
Yeah. I'll go get them.
That's all
you
I
quiz
have,
these
though.
guys. I'll go.
That's all I have, though.
I'm not breaking that to them yet.
Look at this.
There's a
I got
10%.
There's a hard bead we can show them. But
Look at that. Isn't that a cool concept? That is
like
not
it.
seen. And think about anyways.
what
Sorry, guys.
Are we at 600?
No. Oh, that's right. Where
We'll
are we
break
at?
it to them.
480.
We'll give it a
Getting
week.
close,
Stalling
guys.
out.
Getting close.
Oh,
Stalling
good.
out.
Gotta hit that.
Oh,
Come on,
Nick,
guys.
I got
Let's get
soft
some likes
beads.
and shares
Nick,
and some
you
thumbs
do?
up, guys.
Yeah,
Come on.
I got some softies in here that
Perfect.
are like. Oh wait a second. I thought I. There you go.
Perfect.
They have a hole through them. Go ahead.
No, that'll work.
Do you need a leader?
Didn't we just
No, we
have
got-
one? Where'd it go?
It was there.
Oh, it's right here.
Show them what's up.
All
Go
right,
side
side cam. Side cam.
Where is that thing?
All right, can they see?
Right, you want to be right here. There you
All right. So we have this little glass bead tied in line here. So I think it's a 4 mil bead. It's just a tiny, or 3 mil even, I think. And we have a video on how to do this, how to actually tie this knot. So you can go back and research that if you want to see it. But all I do with these beads, and you can do it with any style of bead. I just take the bead, I run it directly through the center of the bead. And it's kind of important to get that thing as centered as you can. And I just real slowly slide it up the hook and right over the top of that bead. And then that bead will close back up and sit right above that. Can you see that bead on there?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Just a
Yeah,
little-
so
little
as you can
bulge.
see, it will sit right there, and then if a fish grabs it, I mean, it's pretty tough to pull that bead down. And so it's also used as kind of a bite indicator. A lot of times if you miss a fish, your bead will be pulled down.
Oh
you know,
my
over the
God,
top
you
of it.
said it.
What?
Oh, my bead slid down. That was a
no,
fish.
well,
oh
no,
my God.
I was just going back into
Okay.
this.
Guide bite.
What?
Hold on, let Nick
I was
finish.
just going to elaborate on this. Just because your bead is on your hook does not mean you miss a fish. That was my next point. So they will pull down, but if you get hung up and stuff, they're going to pull down as well. But obviously, a lot of times you're going to know. But if these beads are they're the beads that we made with DRO. They are a little bit tougher, and so they hang on to that peg a little bit better to that bead. So it's just
Agreed.
super nice about this too, is you can switch your beads out, try different colors, fish different colors, different sizes, very, very quick and efficiently.
Sometimes, I don't know about you, but I'll run a small sequin on the
Yep.
glass bead, and
Yep.
that if you're finding you're tearing or you're pulling it
Yep.
down a lot, it really keeps
really
it.
stops
And you
it.
can get them from like craft stores anywhere and just buy a bunch of different assortments for the different size beads you guys are fishing, and that seems to be really keep that bead above the glass bead for
Right.
me.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. The other thing too, though, is you can take a threader. They make like a worm threader, and you can thread it down onto there, like especially with the sequin style. You can thread that bead down on there with a worm threader and then put it onto the sequin.
I was just gonna ask, like a threader or a toothpick, or
Yeah,
I do
I'll
that a
the-
lot, like because on these faster water fisheries where there's a lot of line and high pressure boat fisheries, like I notice the beads are ripping a lot. So I actually have needles with like
Yeah.
10 beads on it, and I just pop
One-
them on if I
Yeah.
need, and sometimes color change or size change.
That's how I'll do it when I'm tying a bunch of leaders, tying
Yeah.
a bunch of beads up. I'll stick a
Who's playing music?
It's
I'll
me.
stick a bunch on one of those bait threaders and
Yeah.
just have all
Oh.
my leaders there and just wham, 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 wham.
It's
when
a
I wanna
bid
slide
on
the
eBay.
beads on.
You can go back to the cam clip.
Works great. The old bait threader trick.
Ryan, do you get a good guide discount at Hobby Lobby?
Yeah. Yeah, you can buy like 500 sequins for $2.
Perfect.
Do you get 15%?
You go to Hobby Lobby
Yeah.
for those?
Yeah.
Bro, hit Joann's.
What
Way
about
better pri-
Michael's? Michael's was always the go-to. Is Michael's still a
Joann's.
thing?
Yeah.
anymore?
Joann's.
Don't you just take them off your
No Bed Bath and Beyond.
The quality at all those places is trash. You gotta go to Bed Bath and Beyond.
That's
Oh,
what I
Bed
just
Bath
Marlon's
and
chiming in with
Beyond.
Bed Bath and Beyond, guys. You said you had,
And you can make your wife happy at the same time. You
Yeah.
think you're taking her there.
Pick her up a candle.
Yeah.
Don't tell her what you're really there for.
Oh my gosh, Nick, you have soft, supple hands because the first time you ever seen him without gloves on.
It's because, dude, that's why I wear the gloves, bro.
You gotta have soft,
Keep it
supple
clean,
hands.
son. Keep it clean. Oh, say it.
Nope.
Everyone can hear you if you
Yeah. Yeah, you got a mic right
I don't
next to
know
your
if I-
mouth.
I don't know if I like these new mics. I can't say stuff I want to.
The advantage of soft beads. I'm gonna just sit here and we're gonna fire you guys. Jason Harmson in here from Steel Obsession.
Steel
Tune in,
Obsession,
right?
guys.
I'm gonna sit here
What's up,
and
guys?
play.
Is that a video?
moderate?
No.
Cameron makes it sound like it's like one of those videos.
Dude, I don't know.
One of them
I
I don't know
said
where
it
you
came up with
fornicating
the way.
videos.
It's a children's program, Ryan.
Oh, I thought it was 18 or over only.
Oh, it's like the bar.
18 plus YouTube channel.
no. No, the
Oh
first
my
time I
God.
said it, and it just stuck.
No, it
That's
is.
how you have to say it to him every
I like
time.
it.
It's just the
He's
way
gonna-
Cam says it.
he's gonna
I guess
punch
it's
me.
got a harmony.
He's gonna
for it,
punch
so
me
he just sticks
in
to
the
it. So.
face. Scroll up real quick. there,
As long as he
Clint.
doesn't
This is a great
sneak up and
question.
say it behind you, you're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
You're
As
good.
long as he's not whispering it directly
Down,
to me.
down,
That's,
down.
that's when
The
I draw a
advantage
line
of
there.
soft. Okay, quit picking on me. Oh, the
always
advantage
sits in
of
the-
soft
hey.
beads.
He always sits in the front of your raft when you take him, right?
Oh, God, right.
Oh my god. We need a camera on camera.
I want Cameron's
I know.
face right now.
Turn the side cam on Cam.
It's like a disappointed dad right now, dude.
He was supposed to tear us up here, and it's just kind of quiet over there.
Sitting over here, right?
Well, if they don't ever shut up, I don't ever get a chance to get it going.
All right, read the comment. Read the comment.
Here we
I
go.
lost it now.
Pin it again, Clint.
This isn't only fish. Okay, the advantage of soft beads is that they actually don't catch as many fish, so your arm doesn't get as tired.
I would beg to differ.
Yeah, I disagree.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same.
Final answer.
I'm
Oh, I
going
thought he
to.
was stepping out.
No,
Like,
I am
oh,
going
my
to
God.
say the same exact thing. Big ol'
We're flat.
and then they're gonna like realize
What's this happening all of a sudden?
what's going on.
Flashy camera.
Are they seeing it on their end? Are you guys
I think
flashing
they're
on their
seeing- They were.
It's going.
Whoa.
Get a new cable.
Oh,
Right,
there
right,
it goes.
right.
There it
Whatever you
goes.
did. We're good. Life's good.
Extra 5, extra 10%. I always said the extra
Ooh,
5.
I saved it.
Oh
Paul, hey guys, we only worked on the audio this week. We'll work on the camera next. You guys know the deal.
saved it?
So do you guys think
Back to
you
that.
guys really? Yeah. Okay, back to
Look at the
Oh my
bottom. Marlon
gosh.
forgot to pay the Comcast bill.
I think a fish will hold on to a soft bead a little bit longer than a hard bead.
100%.
That's
Well,
my
I'm gonna
thing
tell you
about 'em.
straight up. There's 2 reasons. I think
Straight
that-
up.
Straight up.
Straight up.
Not
They hold on
sideways.
to it longer, like you say, and it's way easier to switch out your gear. Like
Yeah,
I
for
can
sure.
go through multiple colors. I could try 4 colors before you retie another leader and burn another leader. And I think that that's a huge advantage to people fishing a soft bead versus
For
a hard
sure.
bead. Do hard beads catch fish? Absolutely.
Yep.
There's some of my favorite beads made are hard beads, but the efficiency of being able to run through my box and if cerise isn't working, go to an orange, or if it's not working, go to a light pink, or go to an iridescent color is such a difference that
And
I
not
just-
having to tie a knot every
Yeah,
single
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. A lot faster. Lot
And
more
one
fish.
thing that I'm going to say that like proves that soft bead that's going to outfish the hard bead is on a bait bite. If I got guys that are missing on soft beads and they're being finicky like that, I'll put a bait, and I always call it like a bead is like a potato chip and bait is like a McDonald's hamburger. Like once they grab that bait, they're going to really stay with it. And so that kind of goes along with the soft bead. They're going to chew on that like it's a bait instead of just knowing
Yeah.
it's a hard something artificial and they instantly let it go.
They can actually it compresses down. and
Right.
they-
I mean, you take it in your fingers and
Yeah,
it's squished.
I'm
exactly.
glad Jordan's in Chile right now because he'd be arguing with all you because he likes the hard beads more.
Yeah.
he likes the
I mean,
colors though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's more of a color
is-
thing. And
yeah.
I will agree. There are probably a little bit
mean-
more dynamic colors in a hard bead.
I would say more natural.
Right.
More
'Cause you can-
natural.
You can just
present.
you can change so many things with a hard bead. You
Yeah.
can put the different nail polishes and stuff on it. But
A super chat from
we all know
Emma
what
says a
Cameron's favorite
16
bead is, and
millimeter
it's like the best of both worlds. It's hard and soft. So.
Yeah.
but 16 mil pearl soft bead will crush your hard bead tomorrow.
I like it.
I like it.
No
I
doubt.
like it. I bet it will. I know it will.
I know,
I
I'll
won't
be
fish the hard
throwing a
beads. Don't worry
pearl.
about it. But that's an extra 10% thing. Like you're talking about switching to the bait where you're going to get that fish to chew a little bit longer on a day where, you might only be looking for a bite or two. It just might be one of those days and you got to capitalize on that one bite.
Right.
Having a little bait or a little scent added to your bead. I understand that some areas you can't fish that. Are you guys
Well,
centers
I
of
want to say
beads?
one more thing on that, you guys. Like, I see it. I fished a lot of bait on coastal rivers with sleds, and the difference between an egg bite and a prawn bite, cured prawn bite, is 2 different things. Like, they will not let that prawn go, I feel like, for me, when they grab it compared to the egg. If that client or fisherman's not on it, they can smash the eggs and then they let it
It's
go.
over.
You're going to get,
Yeah.
it's going to indicate on your bobber, and you're going to know you're getting bit.
Mhm.
But the guy that might not be paying attention is going to miss it.
Right.
Where with the prawn bait, they're
'cause
not
there's
letting
meat
it go like instantly. The rod's just going to start chugging in their hand if
Yeah.
they're not even paying attention.
So whenever you have the
I think
opportunity to
that's
use
the
bait,
meat.
use bait.
I would say yes. Check
So what
your
about
regulations.
scenting beads?
So I am a big natural. Like I don't fish a lot of scent, but
Either.
that being said, there are days where it's tough and you start filtering through things, trying different stuff. And That's a 10%.
I feel like
It's
on the
almost
days
like-
I struggle, I start pulling out scent. But
Yeah.
generally speaking, I'm with you.
Yeah.
They like plastic.
Yeah.
They like the smell of soft beads.
Yeah, they do. It's got a great aroma. But I think scent more or less is, I mean, I don't know. I've had days where scent makes a difference, but I think overall, like, you're just covering up your
It is funny though,
It's
because you
one
do
of-
talk to a lot of anglers and they don't like scent their beads. But I mean, in my personal experience, especially when like the water is frigid, like when the water is cold,
Can make a
like
difference.
I think,
Oh, yeah.
and that's what we made like that winter chrome blend. That's like where that stuff kind of started. Is like,
Yeah.
fish some real low clear creeks, freezing temperatures are dipping, and that's for west side guys. Because east side guys would be like wussies.
Yeah.
But like upper 20s, watch out. Adding just a little freaking sprig of scent onto a pail or a very clear bead, like having that scent, I think makes in those situations makes it different. Most time, I think you're fishing the bead for the presentation of it just slowly rolling
Yeah,
on the bottom. It's
for
going
sure.
a little slower than the speed of the current, and that's huge. But I
But
think there are
having
days,
that-
but it's weird because most people will say always fish bait
Yeah.
over. If you have the opportunity to fish bait, you fish bait.
Right.
But
I don't
then,
know,
Then they
dude.
don't scent their bead.
There's certain
It's-
situations.
It's pretty
I mean,
fun. I mean,
It's just a good conversation.
Well,
Sometimes
So-
I'll throw like 3 beads and 2 baits out the top, and if they get past those beads, a lot of times, and it slows down my guys that are on the bow of the boat in the sled when you're running a lot of lines, like it slows that bobber down. So now those guys aren't drifting as fast as the beads are.
right.
And if they're going to get past 3 or 4 beads, they're looking for something else. And I've
Right.
seen it so many times
where the bait,
where that grab that bait.
Yep.
So don't, even out of sleds or whatever, have some guy throwing something different. Playing cleanup in the back a lot is a game changer.
Yeah.
I think everywhere.
Well, I never start with 3 of the same setup. Like
Yeah.
I'm always either running a couple beads and a bait, or a couple baits and a bead, or something like that. I rarely put. Now later in the day, as the fish start to tell me something,
Let the
then
fish tell you
yeah,
what they want
right,
and adapt.
Exactly.
Like if I'm getting bit on beads,
Yeah.
my first 3 fish come on beads, I'm probably going to start to transition everybody over to beads.
Right.
And so that's a huge thing. Let the fish tell you what's going to be proficient for the day.
That's
Yep.
the biggest.
And that's the thing that people get hung up on. They get hung pretty bad on just sticking to what they might have hooked fish 2-3 days. And I don't care how many fish you hook. Let the fish do the talking,
Yep.
is the saying I always say.
Yep.
And listen.
Yes. Listen.
yes.
If you don't listen
Oh,
and they're telling you what they want, and then you wonder why you're struggling, I don't know what to tell
You know
you.
what? There's a lesson in the bass fishing, because like the tournament stuff, like right there, like
Yeah.
people get so stuck in the way they want to catch them, and then you change one little thing, and then
It's
you will
game
catch
changer.
all the bass.
Oh, yeah.
But like it's drives you crazy.
And another, I'm gonna say one more
one of
thing
the-
on the scent. I'm gonna back up a little bit. One thing I do a lot of times, I'm not a big scent on my gear and on my beads, but I actually have guys like wipe smelly jelly on their hands a lot. Just take the human odor if they don't want to wear gloves.
Yeah.
And that right there, just a simple like anise blend, or a lot of guys will put anise and lemon joy and wash their hands, but getting that human odor, I think, is more important than like juicing your bead up. Or,
That's what I was
An
saying. I
extra
think that.
scent.
Don't give
Yeah.
them an excuse not to bite.
and I'm not using it. I'm just using it to kill the human odor.
Yes, and I think that's important.
Go
That's
back
a
to that
good
comment.
point.
So there was a
Very good
comment there,
point.
and I figured I'm like, let's
Kinda
piece
like
into this a little
Yeah.
bit. Over 7 on hard beads after work at the coast. Now he could obviously be pulling our leg, but let's just say we're not. Because like I said, some rivers and streams fished probably extremely well today. But over 7 on hard beads after work in the coast in 2 hours time today, how does that rank?
Well, I would tell you that my guess is your hook's too small. That's just my scenario. A lot of times, like guys fishing a hard bead, you have to understand that the bead doesn't compress, and so like if your bead,
Side cam.
yeah, so if your bead is bigger than the gap in your hook, so and it also has to do with how far away your
This
bead
is an
is
extra
and stuff.
10% rule here, guys.
It is.
So if your bead is bigger than the gap of your hook, so there. So if this bead doesn't fit through that gap right there, then it's probably too big for your hook. And the reason for that is as that fish bites down on this bead and pulls through, the mouth, the gap that it goes through is much larger. Now it could also have to do with the distance between your hook. If your bead's too tight to your hook, a lot of times that hard bead will keep their mouth open and that hook will just slide through and miss all of their mouth. So just play with the distance between your hook and your bead, but try a soft bead.
What about the type of hook though? Because 0 for 7.
Okay.
I mean,
I'd fish this addicted advantage hook.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
And I'm going to
It's
say
a
on
lot
that,
of it has-
guys, I've seen fish like on places where there's just a pile of them. We've all been there. Certain private fisheries that there's mass fish this time of year up north on the Washington coast, and I've seen them to where they are just short striking so bad. I've personally missed like 10, 12 in a row. And it's sometimes there's just nothing you can do. You can change your hook, you can change the size of the bead, and at the end of the day, some days there's just times that you're just not going to hook them.
Well, that's the other thing is there's just common error in it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to miss and lose 7 fish in a row. It's just the way.
Yep.
Fishing.
Yeah, and the next day you're
Fishing.
going to go.
not catching.
And the next day you're going to go catch 7 in a row.
There
so,
we go.
And I've even seen him turn like within hours of the hole where all of a sudden, bam, you're hooking every single one of them.
Yep.
So,
It has to
fresh
do with
ones
how you're
move
eating.
in,
Yep.
old ones get feisty.
or
Do
you've
you
hooked
guys
so
find
many,
yourself-
they're finally like ready to commit.
I was just about to address that. I don't like running an extra like piece of prawn or something on like my bead hook with.
I didn't see it. Where were you?
underneath.
Do you guys find
It's a super
yourselves
job.
adding bait to bead setups? Bacon and eggs. Or hashtag bacon and egg setup. Or do you
Nah.
guys prefer just running a straight bead?
Straight bead.
I'm
or
more of a
straight bait.
straight bead guy because I feel like the idea that you're trying to present is not a bait and a bead. Like, I mean, when the bead's rolling down the river, it's a salmon egg you're emulating or imitating. Yeah. And when you start hanging stuff off of it, I feel like it makes it run unnatural. Now I know guys that do really, really.
I've seen it. I was gonna say
Jordan,
I've seen it.
Big Dave's another one. He does a lot where he pins a shrimp tail on the hook, and
Seems greasy.
it's just crazy to me.
I've seen guys putting little tiny puffs of egg under the egg
Yeah,
loop and
I've seen
putting
that
like a
too.
20 mil. And you know what I call it? Because I like those 360s. I'm like, oh, that's the pro troll in front of the bait.
Yeah.
It's
Pro
a-
trolling for sure.
It's just another scent. It's just another scent.
I was laughing
haven't-
at the two hottie comments. Is he just not listening to those 7 fish?
Yeah.
Oh, they're biting. They're knocking
Yeah,
on
it
the
sounds
door.
like
He's not
he's
letting them
listening.
in.
It's a matter of they're not full committal.
Yeah. What about tuna belly, guys? Just you're talking about baits and stuff.
I've
on
never
beads.
used tuna bellies
Tuna
for
bellies for
steelhead.
steelhead? I have not, but I have used bloody tuna for steelhead, and
Yeah.
it's worked.
Yeah.
Like I was saying this last week, the only 2 cents I ever use is bloody tuna and then winter chrome blend.
Yeah.
Those have been my 2. Like those are the 2 cents that have literally made a difference in my day on multiple occasions.
For steelhead, what were they?
For
again?
steelhead, winter chrome blend and bloody tuna.
And I've definitely seen the same thing, like where the winter chrome blend definitely on a day couldn't get them to go. Didn't change any colors. All of a sudden, I'm just juicing them up and just
Catching
ripping
fish.
on fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's some good scent.
It's got a little bit of everything that they like.
Yeah, and that's it. I think it's, and krill is another really, really good. Like, I think krill. Every fish in the ocean eats krill.
Yeah,
I
For
think.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm not
I think
every fish, but I would
The
imagine.
sweeter,
Yeah.
the sweeter scented, sweeter scented scents
Right.
for steelhead.
Mhm.
That's always been, the
No,
go-to.
Steve, I did not make the video.
I should have bet.
I know. You know what's funny though? I was like, I thought about
Oh, I forgot about
it. I
that.
thought about it, and then I'm like, I'm going steelheading this week. I don't give a rip. Not about you, about steelhead.
I see a guy here. He's saying garlic is amazing. I've seen it work, but I've also seen it to where it gets on everything,
I was
and they
just
turn
gonna
off
say-
of it, and that is one of the hardest scents to get off of all your gear, your reels, your boat. It seems to be one that just lingers around.
So I had a day.
That's a video that we do. Nick, you're gonna row us down the river.
Yeah.
Jordan's gonna fish it hard. I'll fish it
Yeah.
soft.
Absolutely.
Are we going to
we'll
take
see what
bets on that
happens.
one?
Yeah, and then it's gonna be a ratio.
Oh,
that
that'd be-
needs,
that'd be a
that
fun
needs to
video.
be a
Cool
multi-boat
video.
trip.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be a fun video.
Be a fun
Definitely.
But you have to have a hard and soft in each boat. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
or else
You're
Colors
get-
too, color specific for each
I
boat.
see you
too.
guys
Maybe
saying
something like that,
night
yeah.
crawlers kill. I've seen that definitely on fisheries.
seen on summer steelhead for sure.
I've seen it on winter and especially on tidal down low in the system where they really like the natural night crawler.
Well, if you think about it, night crawlers fall out of, they come off the banks on high river. I mean, there's definitely night crawlers in the river. How many times you been standing there and look down, there's a dead night or worm.
And
sitting
what trout
high
doesn't
water
like a night
events.
crawler, right? Like
every
that's
trout like
best
steelhead,
color
but not
worm.
trout.
Oh, they're
Best
definitely
color worm
trout.
to fish
Oh, wait.
off a high water
Oh wait,
event.
that's right. Hey, okay, I'm gonna interrupt the announcement real fast, or interrupt this. Just well,
600.
nope. Hold on.
Another
I think
glitch.
it's right. It's right here. Clint.
It's like a public
There you go.
service
Okay.
announcement coming in right
Public
now.
service announcement. First
Clint.
off,
Hey, Clint, he fixed it.
we've got over 500 of you guys watching, but we need 6, or else I get a brand new ITX reel. Like, come on, you guys.
No, I do.
Like, over 500. Let's do this. You guys can do this.
Sick little hook stab.
Second announcement. Second announcement. You gotta have a wacky Seiko going on there, buddy.
Will you quit with the
You
bass stuff
frickin'
before I throw you
bass
down the
fishing.
stairs?
It's real. It's real. Oh God, we're raving again.
You're-
Right? The cord back there. Apparently.
Fixing it.
Apparently, I have to fix this too. I fixed the audio. Now I got to fix this.
Something fixed it,
There we go.
but you were both touching stuff at the same time. I don't know.
It'll probably freak out again. And we just put the tickets to the bashes live. Both of them, Marlon? Just Portland. We only have the Portland tickets live, and within 20 seconds, they were already purchased. 2 of them.
Nice.
So, someone was paying attention. Good job out there.
Yeah, whoever that was.
those-
Hell yeah.
Oh no, I thought they were both live.
It was their
Marlon.
wife.
How soon till the
Don't
second
lie.
one?
Come
Someone
on.
bought their husband a present. There's
Within
no
5
man.
minutes, we'll have Puyallup. I thought they were both live, so I wanted to stop everyone, let you guys know, and they're already getting bought.
Perfect.
So, there you go.
Sweet.
How many is there?
We need Marlon to be in charge of the prizes. Well, Marlon gave us this prize, guys, but he said over 600, so we're going to stick to that.
600.
Use a Senko for steelhead. No, Jay, I do need to do just one video where I just go down and fish
Bass gear.
bass-centric gear, like in front
I
of
know it
Nick's
would
drift
work,
boat,
dude.
and then like everybody else. I'm talking just silly stuff.
Just cam over there.
Spinnerbait.
Yeah,
It's
right under that
Flat.
limb.
Yep.
Oh,
You know it's
still
smashed
dance.
because
I've
presented
Oh, for
proper,
sure.
a
My buddy
steelhead's
Craig-
gonna
my buddy
stray.
Craig smashed a real nice steelhead on a swim bait, and then Marlon and I would go around one of the lakes that was planted with the steelhead, the leftover steelhead, and we'd have steelhead coming up and just pounding on those things like
Crazy.
Oh, multiple times a day.
I'm
Well,
not gonna
you know-
lie, I have a bunch of bass gear, but it's for salmon, like definitely the
Yeah.
coho, like
Yeah.
bass worms and stuff. There's
Yeah.
a lot of cool colors out there.
Ooh,
and
I
we'll
got
keep
some
that.
down.
on the quiet end for now.
Different stuff will definitely work for salmon.
Well, if you think about it, every year I have a buddy that fishes bass tournaments here on the Willamette, and every year he catches a couple springers.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Throwing crankbaits. You know, just, I mean, it's kind of cool. Could you imagine up there on your pedal, dude? Just, whoa! I actually got a real one.
I was gonna do it this year on a certain deadline.
Oh, yeah.
The only problem for those
Cool.
guys is
But
they
it
got to
got
throw them back
closed.
because they're not throwing barbless. If they threw barbless right on Columbia, Upper Columbia, they could bonk them.
It got super closed. It got super closed this year. All right,
Super
back to
close.
10%.
Not even close.
That-
Super close.
That was super closed. Back to what do you
Extremely.
do for the extra? Let's talk about how do you guys deal with pressure? How do you guys deal with like approaching steelhead hole in a raft or sled? Sled, you don't carry your motor over it because you don't give it rip. Yeah, just
Definitely not.
Stir 'em up, boys.
outright.
But I
no
definitely
care.
out of the sled. I was taught by a guy that no longer is a guide. Years and years ago, 25 years ago, like I deckhanded for him, and we would go through runs, and we would catch 2 or 3 steelhead, and then he would take his boat and just run right over the fish. And he says, "You got to break them up. You got to break them up."
No, that is wrong because every bank angler that has a drift boat go over the hole or sled go over the hole automatically
Screams
says
at
it's
him.
spoon
No.
and it's over.
Not all bankies. The guys that know are like, "Come on, you guys, go through there. Break them
No,
up.
no,
Break them up.
no,
They're getting stale
no,
on us. Break
no.
them up."
No.
I
Stir
do,
'em up.
I do believe that, like, rowing over, like, fish. I mean, you watch Jordan do it all the time in the videos. He'll go over fish. He'll be like, oh, and then he'll row back and he'll
Yeah.
catch one. I mean, it's not. I think that people put more emphasis on that kind of stuff than I mean, I don't think that would go into my top 10%. It's
They're
like,
spooky, but not as spooky as you think.
there are
Yeah.
times that you
They
need.
could. They settle.
Yeah. There's times. Well, that's what I was just gonna say. There's a time to be like that.
Yes.
And then there is a time to not be like that. In
Mhm.
low clear conditions, I don't get anywhere near when I'm casting. I don't even want my guys casting close to the
Close.
fish.
Exactly.
I let them. I cast way above them and let the gear come down to them
Yeah.
because I have literally seen fish scatter in low clear water from reeling in.
Oh
I mean, just guys burning it in. And Big Dave is one that taught me a lot about that stuff. Is
let it
is
go
like,
beyond and past them.
yeah, and let it
Yeah.
swing out of the hole and reel in slow.
Crank,
Like there's
slow
no,
crank in.
you're not in any hurry, and I think that's where anglers tend to get way out in front of themselves, you know.
I think in those
Especially when they can
conditions,
see 'em.
they feel
Yeah.
like you're saying on the reel in. I think they feel the vibration in the water
100%.
through their lateral lines and
Yep.
stuff, and it just they know somebody's there.
Definitely.
Yes, and when you have cloudy water or murky water or green water for that, I don't think it's such a big deal. I think those fish could be anywhere in the river at that point. They're not all sitting in one little position because of the low water.
Yeah.
You know, they're more spread out. They could be over here. They could be over there. You could row on the backside of a bank angler and there'd be fish sitting behind them. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen guys weighted out to their waist. And I'm like, dude, you should be fishing behind you. Like, I'm
We
trying
see it
to
all the
cast at
time
your
on,
knees
on,
right
on
now.
these sled drifters on high water. Like I'm like, okay, you guys cast at their feet, but don't hook them because they get pissed if you hook their waders. But like they're casting like where my boat is, and we're hooking them 3 feet off their waders.
Yeah.
So I have this theory, like, you know, whatever side of the river you're on,
Yeah.
you want to cast to the other side. It's just like this thing. Like you have bank anglers and they're standing on opposite sides of the river, just firing at each other's feet, and it's like it doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
to me.
You
Like,
guys are
the
funny.
fish are probably. I mean, obviously the fish are everywhere if both sides are catching them.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like I think it's just position, and everything has a time and a place. There is a time and a place to be stealthy. There is a time and a place where it probably doesn't matter with a jet bow run right over the top of
Yeah.
it.
Right.
But
In those situations, I feel like when they get packed up and they're all like pushed into a tight ball,
Mhm.
they just get tight. Like you know, I'm a big hunter, and same
Yeah.
with the elk. Pack up like that, they don't. Once if you separate them at all, they're vulnerable.
Yes.
Yep.
I agree. Yep.
So, but you guys got to pay attention, like he's saying. Know when to use it and know when to not.
Right.
Yeah.
hmm What else do we got in there, Clint? What about line? Like, what do you guys use for line? Like, I mean, does line make a difference for you? Like, is there?
I was just gonna say, P-Line just came out with their new fluorocarbon. I can't remember what the name of it is called. It's like Shuswai or something like that. Shusui or something.
The sensei or the
Shunsai or something like that. It's some.
Sensi.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's not new though. That's been out for a while.
No, that's a different. That's an actual brand of line.
No, it's,
Peeling.
P-Line.
I'll pull it up. It's
just-
black label.
Yeah.
It's
I was gonna
Sensi, I think.
Shinsi,
Shinsi.
something like that. But anyways, that stuff is sick.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
There's a lot of
tactical.
good lines out there.
Kind of like tactical, but I think the knots are better on the Shinsu stuff.
not quite as stiff, and they
Yeah,
cinch down better.
yeah.
the one you were just gonna read. That's probably not.
Oh wait, I turned these down. Back.
What about you, Nick?
Hey, real quick,
What's-
guys.
what's
real
the
quick, we
small-
just got. I'm gonna just because people are buying tickets right now.
Right.
Like they're coming through.
Fire off.
But we realized we need to put a kid ticket in there. Unfortunately, like we only have so many seats,
Oh,
and we're
yeah.
like required to sell a ticket, so we have to track it.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna buy a ticket for a kid, just hold off. They're gonna be discounted. They're gonna, of course, they're gonna be like a kid rate, but it'll be like for 15 and under. But just give it a minute. I saw a couple questions on that real quick. It's coming. What's
Also VIP tickets that are gonna have like specialized seating.
There's also VIP tickets with specialized seatings and giveaways and stuff. So give it a few minutes to develop. We jumped the gun on it, my bad. But thank you. I saw someone asking about the 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting
Yeah.
it. The website is addicted.fishing.
It's sick.
So going back to line, guys. I mean,
Yeah,
for
line.
me, I just think it's important to have line you trust, and I see so many guys fish 8-pound line for steelhead when the water's green and murky, and like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like,
Yeah.
when I'm fishing a worm, I fish 17 to 20 pound, no matter what. I mean, even if
100%.
it's low
Yep.
jig
If they're
clear
gonna
water.
smash that big presentation, they're not gonna look at the line.
Yeah, they don't
That's
care
it,
about
like,
line.
that light line presentation, I've just always been a guy that's like, I don't ever want to hook a 25-pound steelhead on 8-pound test. I
Yeah.
just don't want to have that ever happen. I don't want it to happen to my clients. I don't want it to happen to your clients.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't want it to happen to anybody.
Yeah.
So like, I'm a pretty standard 12-pound test guy. Like I try to stay 12. I'll run up to 15 when it's high and murky, but very rarely will I go down to 10 pounds.
I'm
Really?
12. I'm
Yeah.
12 to 17.
Yeah.
Just
See,
depends.
that's my range.
Yeah.
Around about a 12
And
17.
I would say fluorocarbon. I like it in that range. Now, if you got dirtier water and you can get away with just standard mono, like Maxima Ultra Green, like I think you can go to 10, and it's about the
For sure.
strength
That's
of
about the
like
same.
14 to 15 pound breaking strength compared to the fluoro.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
I
if
would
you
agree
guys
with
are going to fish regular mono, you can definitely get away. I wouldn't go anything less than 10
So
myself.
keep in mind how many fish were caught on regular mono before fluorocarbon.
Well, I think this.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a big thing. Is like guys don't realize like dude, there wasn't fluorocarbon for a long time that we ever used or one that we trusted.
Forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, my go-to was Maxima 10-pound ultramarine. And that was like,
Now, rivers have gotten a lot more crowded. I've been steelhead fishing for 32 years.
Blame
and
addicted. Oh wait, no, just blame
and
the
Addicted's fault.
fisheries department. Never
Dude,
mind.
some-
I will
Sometimes
definitely
stop.
say high pressure situations, fluorocarbon. I think you said it earlier. 1 to 3 bites a day can make or break your day,
For sure.
and
yes.
pay attention to the watercolor. Yeah, you can get away with some heavy line and off color water.
It's the same thing about the boats, like low clear water, high water, where
Yeah.
to row, where not to row. It's like there's a time and a place for
I think it's why
everything.
us steelhead guys have so much gear.
Yes.
You can't just say there's this, that, or the other because
Right.
the conditions change.
Right.
They're just all over the place for winter steelhead.
Well,
Gotta
and
be
what they,
versatile.
yeah, and what they bite changes so much. And like, you know, I was telling them last week, like, dude, 2 years ago, worm fishing, I bet you I caught 60% of my fish on worms. And
Yeah.
last year, I bet you I caught 10 all season. It was just different. Like,
Now,
there was
what do you
something-
think? I think it's water temp a lot
It
when I
has to
see
either
that.
be water temp or like what they fed on in the ocean, or like it just something was different.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't. I'd fish a worm in places that I caught them every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you'd put a bead behind it, and then we catch fish instantly. I mean, it was just they just weren't eating that presentation, and so I mean, those are things you just pay attention to those type of things, those type of scenarios, and like that's why it does not pay off to be like, oh, I caught one on this last year, I'm going to use this all season.
Yeah.
There's no, everything changes, and you got to be versatile, and I think that's what I gather most from this is like we all have to be so versatile in this and be ready to adapt and change and be prepared to adapt and change is so important.
Yeah. We talked about it on the podcast with you, and me and Cameron talked about cork floats, and so you said you never fished them, and
I've never fished a cork
that's
float.
like an
ever.
old school thing,
Yeah.
especially on really small systems,
Mhm.
that I've seen them totally shy from just the float.
Yeah.
And actually, when I was a kid, we'd just take chunks of wood because we didn't
float
have
too.
bobbers. You know what I mean?
It's a
Like,
bobber.
We
You
didn't
just-
have bobbers
you just
back
take a
then,
chunk
did
of
you,
wood
bro?
and like half hit your main line around it and it float through.
Run it.
And then we're like, oh, they got these cork things that you put the little peg in, and now the best of both worlds,
Right.
right? So,
Yeah, we used to use. We talked about this last week, but we used to use the water fill floats, the
Yeah.
clear plastic, and you
Yep.
just put water in them for weight. We used them because you could cast them a long ways, and there was a certain river we fished, and you had to cast a mile to get them out there, and those things worked amazing.
Shoot, I pound a Mountain Dew, go run down the river.
I definitely
Very
grew
good
up
on
in the
that.
country, and sometimes you just get dapped so you can go fishing every day.
Sometimes you use wood for floats, right?
What's funny is we've been to Idaho, guys, and we've caught lots of fish there. But someone said like bring that pound
Okay.
test up to Idaho.
That's actually a good question. If fluoro is invisible, why downsize your line?
Well,
I
because-
say upsize with fluoro.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it is.
I'm
I
going to
mean,
tell you this right now.
100%.
Like one thing, Marla and we started fishing together 10 years ago. Shoot, I don't even know more. Shoot, I don't even know more now.
Get me a new ball.
I was blown away because I was still in that like side drifting,
Mhm.
even from the sled, 8 pound.
Yeah.
Like, definitely that. He would just run around with a freaking worm under a stupid cork freaking float,
Yep.
fishing 20-pound fluoro, not giving a rip
Yeah.
what color the water was, and catching fish.
Yeah.
like crazy.
I will say part of the reason I won't run 12 versus 17 on my bead rods and stuff is because I feel like fluorocarbon sinks, number one. You start getting a big diameter, it starts to affect the way your bead runs. I think
Definitely.
that you get that heavier line starts to drag you down into the rocks a little bit. And I don't know, that 12 is like my sweet spot. I fish it in everything.
I started
Literally.
to move more to it too.
Yeah.
It's a
From
pretty-
what? 10
From-
from up from 10 or down from 15?
down from 15.
Yeah, 12 is 12. I think is the sweet.
See, I'm
spot.
12 on
Yeah.
beads, 15 on worms.
That's what I
Yep.
And if I'm pulling plugs, I'm 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I run,
I'm
I
pulling
run-
them out of the lumber with that.
Yeah.
If they want to bite a plug, let's pull them back out of the lumber.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes. So I think that like
I need to get my plugs.
it's all situational.
When we were
Those
summer
don't
run
work.
fishing this year, we watched fish shy away.
Can't pull 'em
Everyone
from a raft either.
Yep.
They don't track right.
Still waiting on that reel. Just saying. Well, Hold on.
Let's get it up.
Guess what?
here.
Well,
Oh,
you only got 475 now, guys. Man,
You guys share this out
I
there.
am
down.
stoked right
Let's
now.
get some thumbs up. Let's share it out there.
ITF.
I do not want Cameron taking this reel home.
Are we wrestling for it again?
Because he doesn't
Do
have
you
to
wanna
be on
play
camera.
Let's
now.
share this out there.
I'm good.
Text
I'd
it to
rather
a
wrestle
friend.
for the real.
These guys are going to mud wrestle here in a minute. Let's get some people on here to
Jello.
witness it.
Mud.
From the country, boy. On a mud wrestle.
What, did you guys talk about brands of leader line?
No.
Because I mean,
I
12.
did.
Because 12
I was
in
actually,
certain
yeah,
flows,
for
and
sure.
12 and other flows are two different things.
Every line has a different diameter, I've noticed.
Well, it's what I've noticed on a lot of their 12-pound is like the breaking strength of like 15-pound on a lot. Like if you were to,
Who? What are you talking? Which one?
I'm talking like Seaguar. Like let's take Seaguar because I use a lot of Seaguar. Their orange label, their actual breaking poundage for a 12-pound line is like 15 pound,
Yeah.
I believe is what the actual number of it is. So like, but you go down to like a Maxima and you get a 12-pound fluorocarbon in a Maxima and it's going to be probably around 12 pound, maybe even less. I mean, it's
Yeah.
thin
You said-
diameter
what-
line.
And I'm sure you guys have all tried them all too. And I'm
For sure.
P-line, Seaguar.
That's
I-
all I
I've-
run.
I
Those
played
two.
the games.
So I got a story real fast because, and I'm going to just say it, bass fishing.
Weird.
Jeez. Well, all three of
Oh
us.
my
Can we
God,
get a?
I
Let's
love-
share this video out there.
Listen,
Can we get a camera and Glenn over here?
I love the 12-pound red Seaguar.
Yeah.
That's what I
But
was.
if you put that leader on one of your like jig rods and you start tapping that thing in the rocks, you
Beats
will
it up.
swing. Like if it gets one
Mhm.
little something in it and you take a swing just at a
Snap.
little small, like, gone. No, like if it gets damaged, no shock absorption. As far as like how it's drifting down the river, floating, but if it makes like any like hard contact,
Yeah.
it's toast. You fish the 12-pound, SS fluorocarbon, the P line.
That stuff's legit.
That stuff actually can take like tons and tons of rocks. And I
That-
can tell you, I freaking ripped, I broke a lot of freaking fish in tournaments fishing that red Seaguar.
The diameter of it is smaller.
It is smaller. It is like.
That's what I was gonna say.
Not
That's
the same.
Not all lines are created equal. 12 pound.
Please
just
no
because it
bass
says
talk.
because it says 12 pound on the label does
Yes.
not mean that it's 12 pound. Like you need to
get different
feel it.
performances
Yes,
out of
performance is
different
different.
types of fluorocarbon.
Right.
For sure.
For
Definitely.
like, so don't think they are. That's
If
all
I'm
I
not
know.
line
beating in the
diameter.
rocks and stuff, I'm all about the Seaguar. Now, I think the P-line tactical and is a more abrasion resistant line. It's a
For
little
sure.
bit harder to tie, but it definitely has abrasion qualities
Mhm.
that some of the Seaguar stuff does not have.
That's my go-to is that P-line tactical.
Yeah.
That stuff's legit.
It's
Yeah, that's
perfect.
what I use on all my jig rods. And
Yeah.
like my worm rods and stuff.
I actually do some side drifting for kings and stuff, and that's all I use for my kings because of their sharp teeth.
Yeah.
And I noticed when I was using Seaguar for a couple of years, like
Breaking
we would
them
break
off.
off more fish because they're
Yeah.
gut bombing the eggs, you know.
Well, and that's another big tip for you guys, man. Pay attention to your gear. Like that, it's just like hooking a big giant steelhead on 10-pound tests. It's like
Line diameter is
Yeah.
like one of the biggest things.
and just like being aware of like, okay, well I was just hung up. Oh, my hook
They
looks
don't
good. Well,
care.
check your line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'll answer that.
If I feel any nick on that fluoro, it's not worth throwing that leader back out.
yeah. And that's where the preseason preparation comes in. Is
Yeah.
tying hundreds of liters because we don't care if you get a little nick in it. We're gonna cut it off. We're not gonna try to make
Yeah.
another cast with
That
it.
can cost
Yeah.
a fish of a lifetime
Yeah,
for somebody,
for sure,
and it's just
sure.
not worth it.
Nope.
Line's pretty cheap.
It's one knot.
Yeah.
Like
Green ditch pickles don't care. They don't care, but I care because I really get pissed off when I get a good bite and I set the hook and it breaks.
Oh,
attention.
dude, careful! You might send Cam on a spiral
Yo
downhill.
Zuri hybrid.
I guess
fluoro.
we should
Have you used-
quit
have you
putting
guys
nicks
used
in his
that?
line before his
Yeah.
tournament.
he thought it was that line. Dude.
Yeah.
that was us, bro.
If a fish is 6 pounds, can its swimming power mean it's pulling on the line more than 6 pounds? Oh, absolutely.
I would say yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That fish turns.
Especially if it
sideways.
gets in the current, it
Yeah.
can be feel like it's 18 pounds sometimes.
Yes, Heath, we do catch tree pounders, brah.
Limb cod.
I've got a few tree pounders in my day.
I hooked one. Oh, thought I hooked one on video. I thought that was hilarious.
Most fish
Your
can.
first steelhead of the season?
No.
Hey, we need to talk about this.
Fuck you.
How
Sorry. Sorry.
It's a children's show.
Reboot. Rewind that. That didn't happen.
Reboot. I don't know if there's a reboot in this, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely not.
We just went up to
Sorry
600
about that.
viewers. No, just kidding. We're gonna give away a reel now. Oh,
Man.
Sorry. Cam can't even.
Something we
read,
haven't
right?
talked about. What do you guys? How do you guys feel on?
Cocking your jig.
No,
Oh,
This
God.
guy.
This is always a good
no.
conversation.
I want to talk about.
I'll talk.
You're talking about
that.
10%. Like, do you think
Yeah.
tying like your braid directly to the swivel and not using a mono bumper or whatever you're gonna use? What do you guys think about that?
I'll tell you, I tie straight to my swivel, but there are times I throw in a little bumper. Like
Yeah.
when it gets real low, I do throw in a little bit of a bumper. But in 99% of the conditions I'm fishing, like steelhead season, we're typically fishing some pretty.
Your
big
fish are
water.
very aggressive.
And we
Yeah.
get some,
By the way,
well, hey,
Fact.
just to
Have-
let you know, I
do you
fished a
guys-
lot of places. Those are aggressive fish.
if you hit a broodstock works,
Yeah,
wonders.
it works excellent.
I'm just telling you, we should have one on every river. But I mean, that'd be too smart. I feel like I'm Cam right now. I'm about to go on a rant about broodstock here.
Do it.
But Cam's little conversation. So, for those of you that don't understand what he's saying, he's talking about a cock jig. So, like, when you tie a jig on, I don't know. There we go. So this like vertical, right, sitting straight up and down, or cocking it and tying it off in the nose so this jig floats sideways down the river like so. What do you guys do?
I like cocking them. I've seen times where you don't want to cock them, but I like cocking them. I feel like when the jig is coming down the river, especially in like structure or rocks and stuff, you're not going to hang up as much. And I feel like for me, I get great hookup ratios when it's cocked.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I do both. You can go back, Clint. I do both, but it's kind of crazy. There's a lot of times that I'll fish a vertical jig like this worm or jig because I think that it just puts like when your gear's running down the river, say like this head first, you don't get that profile. Whereas if it's like this, sometimes you get a bigger profile on it. It just depends on how aggressive the
I think
fish
the
are.
depth of the hole
And the
matters.
depth
on
of the
that.
hole, for
Like
sure.
if you're fishing shallower water, I
Yep.
think cocking it definitely
Yes.
is more effective.
100%.
Now, if you're in a hole that's say
10,
I
12
call
feet.
like steelhead water, a lot of is 4 to 6 feet water. Like
Right.
if you're in that 8 to 12-foot water,
Yep.
like that, I would probably run the jig more vertical. And
I would agree with
generally,
you. That's when I do it. Is in deeper water.
we have multiple people casting, and I
Right.
like to set one and set one both ways. And like we talked earlier, let the fish do the talking.
Right.
Let
Yep.
them tell you. what
And
they
I'll
want.
even have, if I'm only running one guy with a worm or one guy with a jig, I'll have them run it through cock 5 or 6 times, and then I'll switch it and I'll put it vertical and have them run it through. And it is crazy. Like there are times that he'll make in that same run, 10 or 12 casts, you turn it, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Well, like you
fish.
talked about, it
Yeah.
changes the whole profile when it's coming down the current instead of this way. Now you got it this way.
Right.
It's just a
Right.
different
I think you
profile.
guys are
gonna
all
say,
freaking
I think-
nuts,
I-
but whatever.
I was gonna say, I think like to start off the first time you run a worm through, running it flat like that is definitely the move. But afterwards, after they've seen that a couple times, tipping it back. or
Sometimes I'll
down
do that
like
just to
that.
learn the hole. Like if it's in a spot I don't know too well, because I know it's not going to hang up as
Right.
much, I'll run it that way. It taps on something in there, maybe adjust it and use it as a depth indicator sometimes.
Are
Do
you
guys-
anal
real
about
fast,
it?
Real fast, 2 things. No, I think you guys are crazy because I think every guy who's put a jig on their rod and pulled it tight and then took it off and made that first cast never cocks their jig and they catch fish on them. But tell people what that is. I think it's a few people ask, like, what are you guys even talking about? Like,
What?
Cocking your jig.
Oh, I
Here,
did.
let's
I did
almost
show
tie
him.
it
You
right
gotta
here.
tie-
Oh,
tie
did you
it.
show? Did you show people?
Well, we
Gotta
went side
tie it.
cam. We'll tie it
Kind
on
of give.
there.
I saw a few people ask about it. Put 2 worms on a jig head. There we go. Oh, there's my reel. There's my reel.
You guys
There it
just-
Hey,
is.
Ryan. Are you,
I'm just tying the knot on here.
have you guys ever tied like an extra knot and broke it off to leave it on there to keep
To
it?
space it.
Like space it to keep it cocked?
There's a couple of knots that
You
actually
you tie the
wrap
knot, Nick,
the
and you
front
break
and the
it,
back.
and you pull the knot. You pull
Whoa,
the
that was
knot.
way over my head,
Okay,
dude.
You just leave the knot on. The
So
eye.
what we're talking about
Oh
here,
yeah, I got you.
side
You
cam
break it
clip.
off, push it forward, and
Yeah.
tie it so it can't go forward.
I
So
thought he
what
was
we're
talking
talk-
about up here. I'm like, you're an idiot.
So what
dude.
we're talking about here is
Well, that's Clint.
that's your standard vertical presentation. Your knot's on top of the loop on the head of your jig.
A little lower.
down
Right there.
There you go.
You guys can see that it hangs straight up and down. Now, when we're talking about cocking it, we're talking about basically it changes the profile.
In the water.
Yeah, in the water it's going to be
It's gonna
different.
be
Where it's going
sitting
to
more like this, kind of straight.
So you're cocking the knot. You're
And
moving
so the head's
Parallel to
basically
the
the
bottom
head's
of the
leading
river.
down the river, you guys, instead of the tail kind of leading its way down
Right.
the river.
Yep.
So that's what when we talk about cocking it, that's what it is.
And dude, when I cock mine, I will push my
To the
knot
back.
all the way
Yep.
to the back of the hook, so it truly does sit cocked, and you almost have a bend in your line. It's kind of crazy. Or like Clint said, you could cut a knot off and then leave it on there and do some weird
That seems
shit.
like more
Yeah.
chaos.
No, it's a good. I think it would. I think it would work great
I've actually
because you know how many times I've been pissed off that thing won't stay cocked.
Yeah. A lot of times for me, I just retie
I
it.
get cocked. Get a man excited over
Here's
there,
another
bro.
thing. Are you gonna leave that? Do you leave that tag? Do you care?
I could give two. I don't think
That's
it
the
matters,
answer I
but
was
you want to
looking
know what
for.
it drives me crazy.
I can't stand looking at it.
So here's
I'm OCD.
No,
I'm gonna
what?
trim it. I'm gonna
Gotta
trim it.
clip
Really?
listen to this though. So me and Big
Run
Dave.
it.
So me and Big
They
Dave.
want to worm. They don't care about
forever,
that.
I would go around to Big Dave's rods and I would cut his tag ends off because they would drive me absolutely crazy.
I
You
remember
wanna
that up in
see my
Alaska.
gear?
He was
Dude,
like-
he had some tag ends. I'm like, Dave, dude.
4-inch tag ends.
And then he goes in there and catches them. But I did lose a giant fish, and I'm like, dude, I never have them pull through.
Oh no.
And I did lose a really big one 2 years ago, so I started leaving or
Oh.
last year, so I leave them a little bit longer than I used to. But dude, I was cutting all his stuff off. He's like, man, that's a really short tag end for me, and I'm like, that's not you, bro. That's me.
For you, he doesn't like to cut him, but for me, I'm gonna leave, 1/8 to a 1/4 inch tag in on
That's
mine.
about
I shouldn't say I won't cut them, but I'll trim them down. But I'm not super.
You
want
want to know where
Yeah.
I leave a tag end, and this is kind of weird, is when I'm with herring. I leave a tag end on my back hook because when you pull it through the body of the herring, it doesn't ever get hung up and tear your
Yep.
herring up. It'll
Where if
bend-
you have a little
it-
nub, it tears it
Well,
through.
what happens is it bends back like this and it
Yep.
pulls through smoothly.
Or you just tie the whole end.
If it's
under
short,
the
it
knot
rips your
anyway,
bait.
so you don't have any end at all.
Well, no, I understand that you can tie.
You
it
gotta
like
go
that.
one or the other. You gotta go
Right.
really long so
Really
it's
long.
softer,
Yeah,
or you go not at all.
not at all.
Is Marlin in there?
I'll work on that.
I definitely leave more tag in when I'm bait fishing eggs for like fall chinook and stuff like that. I'll leave a tag in and not.
I don't think it has anything to do with. It's more mental for me,
It
like
is.
because I guarantee you, if they're gonna eat this giant ass pink
Yeah.
worm,
Yeah.
that little tag in on the end
Exactly.
ain't gonna tell them.
No, I'm gonna agree with that.
Had to-
It's
had to
my
ask the question.
OCD kicking in why I gotta cut it every time.
right.
Had to ask the question.
I just turned it off and turned it on. I wanted to see if the channel would just pick it back up again.
Also on a hot bite, I'm not gonna worry about it. If you're burning through,
Get in
popping
there.
liters out of fish,
Oh, yeah.
don't even care at that
Yeah.
point. But
We're working on it, you guys. We're working on it.
What's going on?
Nothing.
Oh.
Loop knot. So that was the reason why I asked about the whole cock and the jig thing, because during the podcast, Juan and I were talking about one of our good buddies is probably one of the best jig fishermen we know,
Mhm.
and he ties it's not a Rapala knot, but it's a loop knot that basically dangles.
It's
and
real loose.
hangs.
yeah,
And he is very, 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 very good at jig fishing.
Super efficient. Yeah.
So there's no cocking of that jig ever.
Not at all. But that thing has full
Flailing,
free
just flailing.
movement
That
in the
thing
water.
is just flailing everywhere, uncocked.
Have you guys ever toyed with that knot for beads?
Yes.
Using-
oh yeah, I've had my.
You mean the
What do you think
Rapala
about
knot?
that? Yeah. What do you think about that?
So I did it for a while, and I do think you have a better I think when you hook them, you do have a little bit better landing ratio, but I don't feel
I don't think you.
I don't think you get as many bites.
Yeah,
Well,
where you're talking where that
Where it's a
hook's
loop right here.
hanging
Yeah.
and it's just can
yeah.
freely
Yeah,
float
it's a full
around.
loop, and
It's
you're using
basically
your
you
knot as a
tie-
stop.
You tie like a knot in your line like this, and
Yeah.
then you thread it through, you tie it through, and go back through that loop,
Mhm.
and so then it creates this
I think it lets the
Free flow.
pivot,
like this.
the hook pivot when you're fighting the fish, and like he said, you're gonna land more fish, but I don't think you get as many bites or hookups.
And you want to know what else irritates me? It's the tag end. I'm just being honest. It looks ugly as hell with that loop knot. So I don't know. I like to look at my setups and go, "Damn, that looks good."
Yeah.
Not like, dude, that weird ass knot on there. It's kind of bugging me out.
Like people are like, and you're like, don't worry, that dog will hunt.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I only have half worm. It'll fish.
My personal best steelhead has come off of a 3-inch worm. It was tiny. We just kept necking it down.
And he wouldn't bite it when it was big.
No, it's just that worm had caught a couple of fish before that.
Oh, gotcha. I was gonna say, I'm like, was that like an extra
That
little
big-
tidbit
That big
you know,
fish
talk
still
about that.
wanted that.
talk
little
about?
worm now.
Yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna say, talk about your micro worm, Nick.
Yeah, so I mean, it didn't work as good the last couple years, but my micro worm, funny. Funny. Look at this face of steel. Didn't even
He
affect
just
me.
had like the slowest buildup of his laugh too. It just got bigger and bigger.
Oh boy. But you know, like you want to talk about the extra 10%.
Yeah, so there
Let's
was
talk about it
there
because
was
this
a
was
year-
a year. It was like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, probably 3-4 years ago, there was a year that like actually Ed Bergstrom was with me when we figured this out. But we caught a steelhead on a 4-inch worm, and then I only had one left of the color. And I'm not kidding you, they would not eat anything but this color. And so we kept choking it down.
Yep.
And by the end, it was like 2 inches, and it felt like the smaller the worm got, the faster it'd go down when it hit the hole. I mean, it was crazy. It was like, and by the end, we had like, I think he caught like 8 or 9 fish on it or something. And so I started like playing with it, you know, and like went back and started all this new stuff. And dude, I found these little tiny worms, and I can't find them anymore. But it was crazy. That one year, they were 2 inches, and they were made for trout. They were trout worms.
trout
Little
worms,
tiny
yeah.
thin
Yeah.
ones. Yeah.
Really, really thin ones, and
Okay.
put them on a tiny jig head and fished them, and it was some of the, I mean, dude, it was crazy. 10-1 on a regular worm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
it was like
Over a bead.
yeah, I mean,
No.
dude, it was anything.
Dang.
It was just one of
I
those.
think that's
years.
why we love steelhead fishing so much,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
something like that, it might only worked for that year, but then someday it'll come back around.
Yep, and it's just another tool in the toolbox. Seriously.
Someone said this was kind of like not mindless chatter, but it was just guys talking, and we weren't talking about this. But I can tell you, like that year, I remember floating with you, and I can remember we were just mopping fish behind a ton of boats. And I guarantee you, none of them like paid attention to this life. You never heard that, because I guarantee you, none of them were trying it, because it was like there was fish everywhere.
Everywhere. Yep.
They
There's
just had
fish
to find
everywhere.
what they wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it was just like that's another like pressure scenario. You get a lot of pressure on a river. You start to do things a little bit different, and like try to figure out ways to be more successful behind 30 boats. You
Yeah.
know, like there's days where you're going to have a bunch of good anglers in front of you, and how are you going to be successful when those are, you know, those same anglers? Oh God, what's going on?
Oh, Mike Z, that's a good one. Nick did too. Let's talk.
I missed it. Damn,
Yeah,
me
it's
too.
okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Mike.
Weed, you better go invite a bunch of your friends to get a bunch of people in here. Where are you going?
I just got to grab some.
Do you have some of those worms? What's that?
We're good.
Fully live.
It's
Oh,
fully
okay.
live.
And we have an announcement.
Both.
We are fully live on all the tickets for the shows.
There's kid ones and there's regular ones.
There's VIP, kids, and regulars. And Marlon, I think we might have had somebody buy a kid one. Is there a way like they can like refund it and then repurchase?
Oh, trying to save a few bucks, huh?
Yeah, you should, Annie. You should be able to go in there and
Show up with a kid ticket.
repurchase the.
Come on, bro.
We're checking IDs. On-
Checking
on
IDs at the door.
10-year-olds. I'm kidding. All right, let's go with Jason.
What's up?
Let's get your number one like fanatical steelheading just thing. Like everyone's got that one thing. Like that just you got to do. Like how what are you casting first into the hole? Like how are you approaching your pin?
Yeah.
Your pin rod.
Yes.
Oh god, you're gonna set the world on fire, dude.
I'm leaving.
Sorry.
What's the cast again?
It's a
Wallace cast.
Oh, my Wallace. You got that Wallace cast down. I thought.
No, it's the modified Wallace. You gotta
Oh,
get
Jesus.
down. That's the one. And I don't know why, but that's just my thing. I gotta go through with the pin first. I'm caught.
That doesn't answer the question. Kids, you're like, what's your like freaking Thor's hammer? What is your thing that is like
Yeah.
guaranteed for you're gonna use all
'Cause I already know what Ryan's is. You know, that's a big thing for you. We talked about in the podcast. I already know what Nick's is. He doesn't know what it is, but
He doesn't know what it is.
I'm
gonna
not
tell-
going to say a lure, or I'm not
I'm
going
going to say it's how you fish
yes.
and what
That's
you
where I'm
would
going.
do. So I already know what Ryan's is because we talked about the podcast. Like, what's the one thing that you think you try to do? We can come back to you.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna think.
Try to
about
get
this
your
for a second.
line in the water is the first thing, right?
With that pin.
With
Yeah.
that, no,
That Wallace
just try to
cast, boy.
achieve the
Only
drag.
you guys see
try,
that.
to try to achieve the drag-free drift.
I get that drag-free drip. That backhand Wallace.
So I
I'm
went
getting
on
it.
Jordan's new video and said you would land so many more fish if you used a pin rod.
And it broke the internet.
Oh yeah, because Jordan misses like a couple fish in the video.
Yeah, but
Freaking Sean's like on the ball right out, and it's like, I mean, it's.
it does look good. It did look good. I seen it. But you know,
Kevin, I
Jordan, how
fish a
many
pin off
fishes
the-
Jordan
People
said
say
he
that, bro.
missed?
People say that, and almost every year during winter steelhead season, there'll be tons of comments on our videos that basically say if you use a penny rod, you guys.
You would, but you also have to set up different. And I don't think you get as many
But
bites as you
how?
do.
Yeah.
Like,
Why
I
would
mean,
catch
if I
more
have,
fish?
why, if
Why
I
would
have,
lose less?
if I have a,
I think it's because you're direct to the fish. Like it's an all-in-one motion.
You have
So
no get. There's
there's no flipping
it's
your bail,
human.
doing all this other stuff, right? It's you're here and just locked in and bam.
bait caster thumb.
Right.
bam.
I do the same thing with a bait caster. I don't
Yeah.
miss a ton of fish though.
But do you guys? I mean, how your average guy isn't gonna use their thumb or what they think is tight enough drag. That's where it comes into
I'm
play.
never
Where
gonna use a pin rod because every time I go with people using them, they are the stupidest things in the world to cast.
I love it.
The world wants to spend
Until it's-
money
until
to
it's-
cast that.
until it's
Not
5
if you have your
until it's
Wallace
5
style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until it's 5 degrees.
Yeah.
I'm not
Uh,
going there either,
I
Marlon. I'm
understand why
good.
the Midwest guys do it because they're fishing -9 degrees.
Yes.
So they're
And they
using
don't have what's
the-
called flow.
And they're also fishing rivers that are as wide as this door.
That's what I'm saying. I just like I said, I have clients that
I'm not saying
solely
it's not fun.
fish.
It's cool. I'm sure it's a cool trendy.
It's
thing
fun
to
as
do,
heck. I like doing it.
It is
but
cool.
It does not give you any advantage. I don't give a shit what
I
Yeah.
do like the.
No,
I think it's more. I think it's more of a.
Everybody
purist
calm
thing.
Marlon down. Whoa.
I don't think it
Marlon's here.
Hey, sorry
any
guys.
sort of
Marlon had to
advantage.
chime
It's
in
just
here.
a fun way to fish.
Okay, so let's talk about it.
All right, I'm gonna
Let's talk
say.
about it. So you're
All
so
these pin guys hate
Don't-
you
I
no.
know.
I mean,
I don't think we have a lot of pin guys watching.
now.
yeah, we do. A lot of the Midwest
Dude,
guys are
yeah.
watching.
Yeah, but they get a pass though, dude. They're in the Midwest. It's different.
I think it has a lot to do with flow. Why you don't see more people running them
Why
here
don't
on the
we
West
have
Coast?
the best pin guy come out here and go head to head against one of you?
Let's do it.
Kyle McClone will just mop the floor of all of us.
Out here,
Not when I
No.
anchor my boat up. I
No.
can guarantee it.
not. I
Yeah.
don't know about that out here.
He won't mop me up. Bring it. I'm ready.
Yeah. I don't. I mean,
There we go.
now don't get me wrong. Like when we're dropping
I was gonna
bombs,
say,
hey,
anytime.
but I'll say
Watch
this.
I get mopped up.
But I'll say this. But I'll say
Hey,
this.
sometimes you get lucky.
But Jordan and I are sitting in the back of his boat, like dropping bombs, and I was using the center pin. Jordan using baitcaster, and we were doing this, and then he just like kind of watched the bobbers, and he just like sneak at one cast in with the center pin rod.
It's fishing.
But out here,
it's
I
river.
don't. He won't have that out here. There's no
Yeah.
way.
There's no way.
You literally tell us like, yeah, you're gonna be just fine. Go right through there, set it about 4 feet, and I'd fucking go through there and snag.
Yeah.
And then he'd go in there behind it at
Good
3
job,
feet.
Marlon. He
Hey,
dropped it.
That's how he takes you out of the game, huh? Oh, look, I got the
He was,
biter.
he was that good. He'd take us out of the game and then catch him.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
smart.
go 8 feet, you guys.
Yeah.
It's
That's
only
great.
5 feet of water, but you're good.
Ask all them though. Ask all the viewers why is a pin rod?
There's another one, Marlon.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about Ryan's like crux because I know it was plaguing him for a while, like and how imperative it is to stay tight to your gear. Like talk about that.
Yeah, I think, like I said, different flows, different thing. High flows, high pressure situations, you got to stay tight when you're bobber dogging. The fish aren't holding on to it that long, and it's everything to stay
You're bobber dogging.
snug, but not affecting
Line
your
management.
gear.
You're
Right,
bobber
so-
dogging.
Bobber dogging.
So you got 12 feet of line out plus 5 feet of leaders pushing down there. When you see that bobber bite, what you're saying is like you are meticulous at making sure you and your clients are as tight you can be to the bobber, but not. And
Yeah,
it's the
I
di-
like
and
to
it's
see-
the difference between.
I like to see no more than like 2 feet, a little bow on the water, no more.
Candy
'Cause-
cane.
Yep. If you're more than that, you're gonna miss a lot of fish on beads,
and especially in that fishery, because I mean, there's, yeah, you if you don't pay attention to it meticulously. You watch your bobber chug real quick one time, and whoop, he's gone.
There's gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
The ones I like are the ones where the guy that doesn't know, and all of a sudden that bobber's like heading completely.
Swimming off?
Yeah, it's like going sideways at a 45.
That was bottom. That was
Yeah,
bottom.
you might be hooked up at that point. I love those fish.
Yeah,
But even those fish, if you got a bunch of slack, you're going to miss them.
Yep.
So you got to, I like it to be super tight on them. So when they grab it, that hook penetrates right away.
Yeah, you got all that slack line down there, and just complacency is not. You cannot have complacency when you are mending your line and keeping tight to your bobber.
Yeah, and we talked about longer rods. Like I like 10.5-foot rods, and I
too.
feel like on those bigger rivers, if I could have all my guys fish 12 footers, it would even be better because it's keeping that line off the water. And as soon as that fish grabs it, you're straight to the rod instead of having all this bow and slack on the water that you're picking
Right.
up.
And then it turns into, should I swing? Should I reel? Should I don't know. I got all this line.
I just like to get tight on them, let the fish, because once they turn on that and the boat's going that downstream at the speed usually I'm drifting, all you have to do is get tight.
Right.
I've seen it too many times where a guy sets the hook and everyone in the boat's like, well, what did I do wrong? I lost that fish. And he's like, dude, haven't you been listening all day? We've said, don't set the hook.
Right.
Real
I-
till
so-
you feel.
I tell my guys, like, right in the morning, I always say, I would rather have you just reel when your bobber goes under than try to set the hook. Now, if you want to reel and you get tied to it, give it a little hook set, that's different.
Yeah.
But, like, these guys that try to just swing on them, you know.
And then their line gets behind their ear.
Yeah.
Is that too much line out?
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
And
It's a
wraps
hard
the
thing
rod
to
tip.
do because natural instinct is you see a bobber go under, set the hook. But the right thing to do, I think you land more fish if you just reel
Yep.
and
Yeah.
get tight to that fish.
And
because
I had to
that's
teach
what-
myself
bobber
that.
Yeah,
like I
for
came
sure.
from the side drifting and just drift fishing with lead, and we always set the hook.
Yeah.
And over the years, I'm like, whoa, if we just stay tight, we're landing way more fish and letting them pump it and hook themselves.
Exactly.
The rod do the
Like
work,
you're
too.
saying, a lot of times just reel on it. I love it when clients are getting bit and they reel, and you hear that reel just going zit, zit, zit.
Yeah.
The fish is just head shaking and he's hooked.
Yep.
There's a side conversation of Nick fishing beads and Marlon fishing worm on the comments, and it's kind of going back and forth, and everyone's all like,
As long as I get to pick the river.
I was gonna say, I'm like,
Yeah.
pick
yeah.
the river, because I can guarantee
I think
you,
it has to be.
and I
They
would
would
put-
mop me up in
I
on
just say,
certain rivers.
I say I could pick a river that Marlon would kill you,
Kill
and
you,
I could
yeah.
pick a river
I
you would
think
kill
any
Marlon.
competition with the center pin or any time we're in a competition, it has to be like water that nobody's fished. Because if not, it's not even a
Ryan,
competition.
actually, so after last week's competition,
Like,
all the center pin guy does
You
is
can't go
have
to
pick
his
one
turf and
fish.
think you're going to
And
beat
he's
him
gonna-
and then go to your turf.
Yeah, because it would be. I know.
That's
I
exactly what we need to do. Let's just go pick a river up north we've never fished and jump on it. And we'll
yeah, because I would literally lose.
But
in
then what
your-
will happen? Then what will happen is
I
then you'll
know.
go there and you'll be like, "This isn't a bead river," and it'll happen to be
Right.
a worm river, or it'll be the opposite, and then he'll be.
They don't
bitching.
eat worms
I
here.
feel like,
They
I
work
feel
here.
like it has to be mutual ground, and it has to be like best out of two or best out of
Yeah,
three.
yeah,
Because
you
like
gotta-
one day you might get it just.
Yeah, it's hard, but I can.
There's always going to be a little bit of air. It'd be fun no matter
Would be
what. I
fun.
just want to smash Marlin no matter what.
And then I'll fish behind you
I wanna
guys
start
with a
getting
center
into
pin in
these
this.
competitions so I can
I know you
win
need
some of
to.
my credibility back.
It's okay. Your credibility stands with me, bro. I've seen you light me up before. So I would say my most I would say what I bring to the table, or what I think is like would be my patience, like being patient and like literally fishing on the fish that I know are there, because there's so many times that I put in, or I find it. I know there's fish sitting in certain spots, and you'll see guys push through in the morning and nobody catches anything, and I fish slow and get down to these places, or you know, I just am very patient fisherman, like, and it pays off a lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
And you see so much now with the whole bobber dogging, and like is people not being patient, you know, and just like burning to get to the next spot, and it's like you miss a lot of fish that way because it's cold in the morning. Sometimes they don't bite right away. You know, fish are still moving. They're backing the tail outs. And I think the idea behind the fast fishing is like, I'm going to pick off the aggressive biters.
The
you know?
chickens, we call it.
Right. And it's like, I like to dig in at my heels, dude, and fish for the hard ones to catch.
Now, certain
And-
systems are different. Like longer systems that you're going to be on an 8-hour float. You can't do
you
that.
can't do that.
Yeah.
You
Right.
can't do that, and those chickens are almost your whole day.
Yeah, that's
So if you let 20 boats get in front of you and you're taking your time, you're going to come in there with like 1 or 2, and those guys are limited out and already on the trailer.
Exactly.
So
Mhm.
distance of your
understand- you
float,
have to
distance of the river
understand
that
that,
you're going to
though.
fish
Yeah.
that day.
And it's not always best to be the first guy blasting down the river, because I've been with Nick many a times on some really crowded stuff and just watched guys just blow over rivers and sat in a hole for way past any time that I would even think, like, I'm eating lunch and sitting down, and then all of a sudden a fresh batch of fish fires up,
Yeah.
or we figure out exactly what the other thing is too, is like not fishing a hole like there's one spot in the hole the fish lay. Like,
Right.
you'll fish behind a rock over there, behind that stump, inside seam, up
Right.
front, run it in there, run it suspended.
Yes.
Like, you fish more suspended crap than I really see a lot of people ever do steelhead.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I tell you, like, to the point of aggravation, like, this is stupid. Like, we're
Mhm.
sitting here for 3 hours, and then all of a sudden, like, light them up.
Yeah, and then hell breaks
happens.
loose. And it's like, I just think that, like, I don't know, I kind of like, I enjoy that style of fishing. Like, when I know there's fish laying there or that can potentially be caught, I enjoy trying to figure out how to catch
Trying
them.
to
You know what I
That's
mean?
fun.
change your stuff.
And then
get
there's
'em.
days that I do. I just turn and burn, and I'll
Yeah.
float the river a couple of times if I
That's
have
what
to.
I was gonna
you know,
say.
like
Just
make 2 floats if I need to. And, you know, because it is still fun. You got to kind of know who's in your boat and who can. A lot of times you have beginning anglers that are going to have a lot harder time casting on anchor, and so you got to almost get them started closer to the hole, get them to get their gear out, and then slide
Yeah.
off. And so there's time and a place for everything.
That's
but-
where that Minn Kota, you can make
Oh,
runs
yeah,
when your
yeah.
guys can't cast. You just hear hot lapping the spots.
all right, open your bail.
Yeah,
And then
working
I just
them
hit
over.
full reverse.
Yeah.
And all right, close them.
Now, what
you
I,
should do that.
one
with
thing
pin rod,
my
just
whole
slide over,
life-
just drop all your
Yeah.
pin rods and then slide back over.
Oh yeah, I can do that with my center pin guys too. Actually, is what I do with my center pin guy is we set up above, you know, so you're running straight down to him, and I
Yeah.
think that's a huge advantage. That's
I
why,
agree.
like, I think that if you did a center pin,
pinners.
if you did a center pin guy and a bait or a spinning rod guy in the same boat fishing the way we fish, I think the center pin guy struggles.
Yep.
But if you go center pin guys all by
Setting-
themselves in a
straight
boat,
down,
sending them
setting
straight
up
down.
the way
You're
you're
gonna
going to
win.
set up.
See, and I
Yes.
don't find
It's a
myself
smoother-
setting
it's a
up
smooth-
any different to fish a hole with
Really?
my center pin.
See, I do. I have
No, but
guys.
go,
that
go,
come-
but go to the Midwest and see. What
I
they
feel
do.
like the line
Holes,
comes
every
off the
hole.
center
They
pin
won't even-
smoother, and it's just a smoother presentation when you're straight down on them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
Weird.
One thing I was going to ask you guys, what do you guys think? You know, you talked about when the water temp warms up during the day,
Ooh.
and back. Well, I've been guiding 18 years full time now, and back when I started guiding winter steelhead, I would a lot of times go to breakfast with my clients. Obviously, fisheries were less crowded back then. We'd go have breakfast. The guys that started at daylight, fighting the icy reels and just
Yeah.
battling it, they're about done by the time I launch in my boat.
Yeah.
They're frustrated. They're cold, and
Fish aren't biting.
it's always
Yeah.
been a thing for me, like 9 to 2.
Mhm.
9 to 2 is a great bite window for winter steelhead, especially the colder it gets air temperature.
I always say set the hook at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
10 to 2.
it's just one of those things that people don't realize that like a half a degree of water temperature could send the fish into a complete full on bite. You know?
Well, that's
difference.
that's like 20 degrees to us.
yeah, that's what I mean. And
So a half a degree, a lot of guys don't realize that's huge, to a
Huge.
fish.
yes, and so like that's kind of how I always put it to the client. is like,
There's one stream that if it gets real low and real clear, there's one stream that has one of those ecology gauges on it,
mhm,
and it will swing up to 3 degrees a day.
that's crazy.
3 degrees,
Yeah,
which to a fish is like everything.
Yeah.
60 degrees. That's
I
like
just
being
tell-
in Maui and being in Portland.
I tell people this, like when you get cold, you get stiff, you don't want to move. When you warm up, you
Yeah,
loosen up
loose.
and you're ready to move, and
Wanna eat.
there's no difference in a steelhead
Right.
or a fish.
no,
so-
I agree.
Don't always get discouraged, you guys. Especially on the colder the air is and the colder the conditions. I think you need to be more patient. Let the sun come up, let the water temp come up, and then put your best effort into it and your
Yes.
gear.
Pay
Don't get
attention on
discouraged in
water
the first
temp.
2 hours.
Right.
And that goes with the patience thing.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what I usually do on a cold day is I'll go anchor somewhere and literally
Yeah.
and sometimes you get 1 or 2 or get a or whatever and then you start to move on here, come on here
And
before you know you have
I,
a hell
I'll
of a
do the
day.
opposite all day. Run fire through
and
and
then come
then
back
through.
Mhm. It's great.
That a lot of guys won't do because, you know, casting and doing this. And I pull a lot of plugs.
You got it.
I pull a lot of plugs and divers, and I've seen on those frigid mornings where there's 30, 40 boats around, and they catch one.
Mhm.
And I'm backing it down slow, and my presentation is just totally different, and I'm just smashing fish where they just don't want to chase stuff down yet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's too fast.
And then all of a
for 'em.
sudden, 10 o'clock, I'm pulling my gear, reeling up, putting those rods away, and we're
Grabbing
going
them
back
up,
to different
doing what they're
presentation,
doing,
and we're
yeah.
continuing to catch fish.
You're absolutely right, Popov. I've noticed 10 is a good time to catch fish.
Set the hook.
But
It's 10
I
o'clock.
think if you don't time that right, though, too, some days that early morning,
For
and
sure.
the water's not bone low. That's also when they're moving around. So
Yeah.
or
it's not,
or
it's
when
not,
the
a,
water's
it's not a
up.
golden rule.
Well,
Right.
none of
No,
us
water's up.
steelhead fishermen are sleeping in. We're out there in the dark, so
No matter what.
regardless.
Yeah.
But
Bull crap. Oh, wait, did I say that out loud?
10.
Yeah.
Sweet video.
Sweet. Hey, it's.
Oh, hey.
Cheers.
Well, it looks like Cam gets to keep the reel tonight, guys.
Oh, man, you guys, come on. I didn't want to keep it. I really didn't. Well, who am I kidding? Who am I kidding?
He wanted it.
Who
Come on,
am
let's
I
make
kidding?
one more run at this. Share this thing out there. Let's get this thing to 600 people so we can give this reel away. Comment, send everything.
Commenting, liking, sharing,
Comment.
is what's gonna get it out.
Yes.
Everyone,
No.
if all people share right now. And
Yeah, come on, you guys.
it'll crash.
If you guys all share this out there right now, it will get over 600 views or people on here, and we will
No,
give
no,
this
no.
reel away.
Don't share it out. Don't do any of that. Don't listen to these guys.
Cam is he's doing everything he can to get one reel.
That's right. Hey, it's a nice reel.
He's going to do a great job bass fishing with it, guys. Come on, guys. Get this to 600 because I don't want to see this reel used for bass.
Yeah. Save the reel.
Save the reel. Hashtag save.
Cam doesn't need another reel. Dennis, that is a lie.
You always have, never have.
You can never
Yeah.
have too many reels. You can never.
Especially for bass.
Oh, that's
Like,
right, too,
reset
Hottie. I
the
should.
rods to
I
catch
should. I should
five.
just pull the cord and just be like done and just end it right now.
There you go.
Could do that. I could do that.
I think it's stuck in space, dude. It's at 420.
I'm sure
Just stay in there. Let's tell Marlon thank you. He's trying to give this reel away. He's out there sharing it around.
we lost like 60 people.
Yeah, I think it has.
think
maybe
it's
something to do
this.
with it. Or do you guys go like we did last week again? Remember that? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to make this not happen anymore.
Well, what else?
I don't know. Do you guys have any questions for us? Anything you guys want us
Yeah.
to cover? Any topics that we missed? Anything you guys can think of?
I want to say one just overall thing. The 10% is everything.
Yes.
This whole thing's about 10% and the difference, and to me, the details and that 10% is completely the whole difference of how you're catching fish compared to the guys around you.
I was gonna say, and that's sometimes something that us guides kind of think of a little bit more because we're out there more. We don't have to. We're not thinking of the super basics,
Right.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Well, the saying is 90% of the fish are caught by 10% or 90% of the fish.
Yeah.
Wow, Jesus.
You really suck.
90% of the fish are caught by 10%.
Yeah. Yes.
10%
And-
of the people
and
catch
you
90.
guys all
That's
see it,
what I
guys
was
that
trying to
salmon
spit
fish
out,
too.
and he just repeated the same thing.
These
I was
guys-
saying.
We're all 360 fishing spinners. Why is it that those same 3 boats are catching over 200 boats every day?
Yes. It's because
It's just a 360 with a buzzing thing behind it. Why are they doing so good?
it's because
well,
of the
it's the
small
10%.
things.
It's
Yes.
that extra little bit.
And it really does. In the grand scheme of things, dude, these little things make up a huge difference. I mean, this
Short
Straight up.
learning curve.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm going to say for the bank guys that are sitting there and they're struggling, they watch a guy and they're fishing around him on a fishery, and they see him walk in and he catches his 2 fish and walks out. And then the next day he comes in and does the same thing. I would probably quit fishing at that point and just sit on the bank and watch
what he's doing.
that 10% difference.
Yeah.
Or it might
What
be a
is he doing?
2%. But
Right.
you need to sit back and pay attention.
Let's talk about this real fast because I saw this pin that comment. David said, should I use beads to hook my first steelhead? But he did say earlier, he's like, I went out first time steelhead fishing Christmas Day. I used jigs and worms, no fish. Like, what's wrong with that statement? Like, what would you, let's piece that together because
Well,
like the fact that you went to the river and threw something like does not, that is not the like equation or what, that's not like
Yeah,
what
how
you're
were
trying
you-
to do.
How
it's-
were you fishing?
How are you fishing? Where were you fishing? Were you even fishing a river that even
Yeah,
has
early returning steelhead.
steelhead in it. Like just because, and so what I'm trying to avoid is, so he went and tried jigs and worms. He didn't catch anything that day. Now he's not going to fish jigs and worms again?
No.
No.
I think
like-
it's probably water depth and presentation. He could have had a float that was the wrong side. It could have been
Right.
drifting too fast.
Was there a bunch of other fish caught that you didn't that you saw?
That's
And
what I
then-
was just
Or
gonna
was there a
ask.
bunch of anglers and there was no fish caught?
Yeah.
Like those are the things that you need to like be asking, or like kind of trying to say instead of just I used a jig and worm and didn't catch any. It's like, well,
I like you're saying, Cameron. Number one ingredient to catch fish
Gotta
is
be
fish.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to have fish.
Yep.
So you could have been fishing on dead water. Obviously, like you're saying, if there's fish there and fish are being caught, or you've seen them hooked and lost, you
Now it's time
probably
start
need to
paying attention.
adjust.
Yeah. And I mean, you could catch your first steelhead on any
but
of
don't
those
get
things.
don't get hung
Don't
up on
get
that.
discouraged
Right.
by
Don't be right.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you
Beaver,
didn't
so-
go out and catch fish that for one time. You know, there's a lot of factors that go into why there probably wasn't fish there, or
More
or-
than
Yeah.
anything with winter steelhead.
You gotta have the main ingredient.
yes, you got to have fish there.
So-
And
Jordan says it's the only Jordanism I ever use.
Jordanism.
Gotta have the main ingredient.
it's true.
I think
Very,
that's where-
very
I think
true.
that's where I heard that from.
They definitely have to be there.
Yeah, so don't give up on the worm and the jig.
They
You'll
work.
still catch fish on them.
Yeah.
It's all
But like I
conditions
said, pick
based.
the river, move a lot. The water was low, which it probably
Use the
was.
resources to find out if there is early steelhead there. Like
Yeah.
some of these rivers do not have an early run of steelhead, you know. So
We used to have a lot in Washington, Thanksgiving to Christmas, and
Oh, that
they've
was
kind
go
of
time.
decimated those runs. And they weren't the biggest winter steelhead, but they came in good numbers, and they were excellent biters.
really good
Um,
biters.
You know, that was what we call our Chambers Creek stock, and they kind of alleviated. And now there's a lot of systems. They just came out with some stuff on rivers in Washington where they're bringing back the early stock, and hopefully things work out where we can get on some earlier fish right after Thanksgiving, because that was awesome. You know, right when the
remember-
co-fishing slowed down.
I remember when I was a kid, that's what we did, dude. Thanksgiving
Yeah.
hit, and it was like, oh, time to go.
Steelhead.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, and now you just don't see those early returning fish, but there is a solution to that.
Yep.
Broodstock,
100%
broodstock.
for sure.
More fish come back. You see more early fish.
Not
more
a fish
late
of 1,000 casts.
Yeah, fish of 1,000 casts is, I think, an absolute
A
fallacy.
wise steelheader once told me, steelhead are not hard to catch; they're hard to find.
Yep.
I think that's one of the biggest things is a lot of guys just give
Yeah.
up.
They
because
have to be there.
They're not hard to
sometimes if
catch.
You're not in the right spot or you're not in the right time of year. You just sit there and you grind yourself to death, and then you just throw over.
It's
Yeah.
like the
You
guys
get
who start
discouraged.
springer fishing in February.
I always say if salmon,
Yeah, they see that one on Facebook and they think they gotta get out there. They
Yeah.
gotta run out there, and they make like they make 15 videos, and they don't have a winter steelhead on.
That's
I always
Is
say
that
if
right, Nick?
steelhead,
Yes, sir.
if steelhead were in salmon numbers,
But
we
they
would
saw
catch
one
so
on
many of
Facebook.
it.
Saw one on
Blow your
Facebook.
mind.
Saw one on Facebook. It was on.
Because they are very good biters. They're not like salmon. You don't they bite. The main thing is finding them, not spooking them sometimes, getting that right speed of the presentation.
Yeah. Super chat from Badger. What's your thoughts about glow bugs and setup for them?
Glow bugs. The hell's a glow bug? That's
hell's a
my
glow bug,
thought.
Jimbo?
Yeah, what's going on over
I
there,
don't
man?
know what a
Give me a
glow
Mountain
bug
Dew.
is. I think I know what it is, but I
I
don't.
saw someone a couple days ago was using a glow bug hook.
Oh, I know what glow bugs are.
Did you
Aren't-
see that?
Aren't those glow bugs those little things that came? They were like, they're not. They're like they have like a little tail on them.
Yeah.
The little egg bead
Yeah, it's
looking
like-
thing, and they got a little tail on them.
Is that what they're calling glow bugs?
I heard they work. Dude, I'd try them.
Are hatchery fish?
Come on, we,
You
we
guys,
said
we're
this
gonna
earlier.
wrap this
I think
up.
a steelhead will bite about anything presented proper.
If it's presented,
sure.
I'm sure that it'll work.
We're gonna
But
wrap
I've
this
never
up in
fished
just a
one.
few minutes, but here's a good one. Are hatchery fish easier to catch than a wild?
No,
No, I think they're finickier from.
I think there's multiple things to go into. I
You can't. It's not a golden rule broad brush
no,
because, like,
yeah,
I think they are easy to catch because if you know they're only going so high in a river, but you get them before they're going to get pounded on by all the hatchery guys.
yeah.
Like you
You
know
can
what I
really
mean? Like,
target 'em,
You
yeah.
can, you
Yeah.
can
Well, I-
find
I
them
know
a little
from-
easier to
easier to
find,
find.
maybe. But then,
But then you get a wild fish that's a little more predominant, like it's a little more
know.
aggressive, maybe fed a little better in those. I don't know. I mean, I
I,
feel like
I can
there's
tell
those
you from
fish both
personal
sides.
experience, and then fishing those broodstock rivers that are a combination of
Nothing like them.
making that gene pool bigger instead of just like this. I call it inbreeding in these hatcheries and stuff, like there's no comparison, if you ask me, of
Wild fish
brood stock
definitely
fish,
takes cake.
wild fish, and hatchery fish that have been overproduced on small genetic
No, I think you're right.
spectrums, I guess you want to call it.
Mhm.
I think
So
you're 100% right.
that's why we always talk about brood stock, you guys, because those fish, they bite better. Even we have some integrated brood stock in Washington State where they're integrating them and like that, and those fish are so aggressive compared to just
And those
straight
are
breeding.
ones that are trapped too, right? Like
Yeah.
they get them out the trap.
Yeah.
When you catch a fish, how can you tell if it's male or female just by looking? I just ask them.
I thought this was a kid show.
Yeah, I was gonna
Is this
say.
a kid show?
You can't ask these days. They can self-identify as whatever they want to be. So how dare you ask a question like
Actually,
that?
didn't you guys see that picture that someone caught one last year that had like it had eggs and it had both? It was like hermaphrodite fish.
Yeah, they're making those now. Portland.
Clint, why are you laughing?
So
What? They hit a sweet spot?
PNW fishing. PNW fishing. We did talk about that earlier. You said is human odor a big factor?
Yes.
I mean, you guys did say we did talk about that about halfway through, and it's just something.
This
Just
guy smokes cigarettes the whole time.
that's not
I think
human
it-
odor. That
I
is
think
cigarette odor.
I think that cigarettes covers up your human scent.
Hey, I quit smoking.
I
And
don't
some of my
necessarily-
clients say you got to smoke because you used to catch more fish when you smoked.
Dude, swear to
I had
God,
clients that
if
wouldn't
you
even go
did-
out with me unless they'd bring me packs of cigarettes. They're like, if you don't have your smokes, we're not going.
Okay, we are not condoning.
We don't
or
condone it, but I'm just
asking,
saying it works damn
because
good.
a lot of people that we know do not do any of that
10%.
and catch plenty. But the point of the matter is that does a fish really know?
I was gonna say,
Get
No,
yourself
we're
a
not doing this
Marlboro.
right now.
Get
La, la,
yourself.
la, 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 la. We're
Okay,
not doing
back
this
to-
right
back
now.
to, like,
I
the
think
human scent.
cover.
Cigarette
So
coming
Hey.
soon.
I,
Put it like a little cigarette.
let's just say covering
Get
up
yourself a Marlboro Red. Let's
Every
do
time
this.
human odor.
okay, there may be something you said by masking
That's
human
what I
odor,
was
but then
trying to
again,
get at,
I've always
dude.
wondered this. Like, they've done studies with like fish in tanks where skin has that L-serenine or whatever the hell it is.
It's the
Yeah.
oil on
That
your skin.
oil on skin that actually repels fish.
Yeah.
My question is, what does a steelhead know what anise smells like, a cigarette smells like, human scent smells like? Do they really know? I mean, I'm a big proponent. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm a big proponent keeping your gear clean.
I don't think they
Like-
break it down like you're saying, but I think they definitely smell predation. And I
smell their
can't say
predators, is that
I
what you're
can't
saying?
say I
Out
know
of the water,
this
they're trying to. I don't know. I'm not computing on this one.
predation.
a
They swam
different
around with
scent.
sharks.
Yeah,
They
I
swam
know what
around
you're
with
saying.
birds. They swam around their whole
Just
life.
something.
Everything's
How
trying to eat
about,
'em.
how about something? It just is something unfamiliar.
And here's one thing
That's
I'm going
what
to
I
tell
Let's
you.
go unfamiliar.
Yes.
One time I was spring Chinook fishing. Where I'm going to go to salmon on this because it was so apparent. So I went spring Chinook fishing. I killed 12 springers. I'm like dialed in. I'm killing limits every day. It's 2 per person. I had a group. They were like, we want to go walleye fishing. We want to learn how to catch walleye. So what did I strongly suggested against it. It was some of the most epic springer fishing I'd ever seen in my life. But they were like adamant. And I said, okay, cool. I'll take you guys walleye fishing.
Yeah.
We go walleye fishing. I have 2 different rod lockers on my boat. One had walleye rods, one had salmon rods. I never opened the salmon rod compartment. I went out there and we killed 30-something walleye that day, released some big ones. I go the next day to the same fishery, the same bait, pull my salmon rods out, and I literally sat there and watched everyone catch fish around me at a place that I generally own.
Right.
And I'm like scratching my head. I'm smelling everything. I could not figure it out. I go back to my house that night and I'm scrubbing every square inch of everything. I'm talking the gunnels, the floor, the seats, my rain gear. The next day I went out and just smashed them, put on the absolute clinic. And I've talked to old timers that have done the same thing, and it's the smell. Just because the walleye were on the floor, it got into my boat, and that the salmon could smell that. Walleyes are very
flashers and baits on the floor, on the seats, on the
and the
gunnels.
walleye are very strong smelling, and it literally.
They're
I've seen it.
predatory fish up there.
I will never walleye fish and then try to go catch salmon again without absolutely cleaning my boat.
I believe
It doesn't matter if you don't touch the rods; that odor gets on your gear.
Right.
I believe it 100%. It's just like someone posted about garlic.
Yeah.
And I had one of the most amazing spring Chinook days I ever had fishing garlic a few years back. And The next day, I watched every boat around me catch fish but me, and I could not figure out what it was. And I went back and realized, like, dude, garlic. Well, it's all over your braid, your line, your everything. And I scrubbed everything down, and we caught fish the next
I
day.
had the same thing last year, Cameron. You know where I like to fish spring Chinook, and it's tight quarters. And there was about a week and a half period where the garlic was absolutely the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden,
Turned off.
they're hooked up. They're hooked up. They're hooked up.
You're
and I'm
a zero.
like, okay, guys, one at a time. And scrubbing the flashers down, getting that garlic that's super hard. As soon as I got it off, now we're in the game. Boom,
Yep,
boom, boom,
catching
boom.
fish.
So
There's
I've
something
noticed
to
that.
there.
Garlic over the years for me is like it's either on or it's off.
Yes.
Like,
I've seen it
I just
in Oregon in the Willamette and stuff
Yep,
where it's just
Columbia.
lights out. And I try to take notes. And a lot of times I'll put on my calendar like this scent, this water temp
Yeah.
each year, especially on salmon fisheries. And
because
I'll try it the next year and it won't work. So
Yeah.
whatever it is, you just got to kind of
Play with
use your sense, know when they're working good, and know when to clean everything and start from scratch.
Yeah. That's why I don't play with them a lot, because
Yeah.
they scare me.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes they hurt you more than they help you, and I don't want to be in that predicament.
That garlic too. That's
But we
a
talked on
penny.
I think earlier, like I only go to them when I'm struggling. I'm
Struggling,
going to stick to
right.
my A game, my B game, C game. Usually that's like the D or F
Yeah,
game. You know
the
what
F
I mean?
game. I'm failing. Give me the scent.
What's a good way to scrub and clean your gear? Two different things I use. Lemon Joy.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll put a little anise in the Lemon Joy to give a little bit of sweetness to it, especially for steelhead. And then good old WD-40 is a great anti-corrosion and cleaner for your stuff and your reels and
Yeah.
your rods.
Yeah.
It takes the egg juice off pretty good.
It's it keeps all your bead chains and stuff, and not getting corroded.
why would a shark smell one drop of blood 5 miles? Because a shark is instinctually looking for blood. I'm not saying a steelhead doesn't smell a cigarette or a human or an anise, but how it reacts to it, I think, is like what was more up for debate.
Right.
Because, like I said, I
There's
know
no
a million
debate
people
that
that
they
have
use their
cigarettes in their mouth the whole day, handling beads, handling baits of eggs, handling it, and they just wreck fish
Yeah.
like it's going out of style.
Just saying.
I'm not saying any of you guys smoke. I'm just saying,
Marlboro
like,
Light coming soon.
but I'm not saying they don't smell it. It's how they react to it.
I like this comment here from Brian.
Yeah.
It says, when I was a deckhand on a commercial salmon boat, had a
Oh, if you
Vega-
brought the shark
Vega
on
Bay in the
board.
Bodega
70s,
Bay.
Yeah.
brought a shark and it killed them. Their bite for them. Again,
Oh, interesting.
I think these fish, they start out, they're very smart, I think. People call them stupid fish, but I
Sure.
disagree.
Any fish that can find their home water 5 years later after traveling around the ocean is pretty damn smart.
Beating a lot of predation. So
yeah.
definitely predator smell is not good.
Okay, the last question of the night, because it is about the 10%, and it does really, really, really matter to some. Bananas.
I love them. I love them.
Someone else like that's like the last banana. So like, what are you? I mean, do you allow?
You know what my saying is?
Do you allow bananas on your boat?
I allow it.
Do you allow bananas on your
Oh
boat?
yeah, every
Do
day.
you allow
I'll
bananas
tell-
on your boat?
I got a funny story.
No. Yes or no? Do you
I don't
allow
care
them
if
on
they
your
have
boat?
them, but
You
I
don't
give,
care.
I
Okay.
give them shit if they bring them. It's just because it's funny. But I had a day steelhead fishing one day, and we're getting them pretty good, And this dude, we pull over in this hole, and this dude pulls out a banana. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? We're having a good day, and you bring that out? And he's like, well, I didn't know. And he's like, should I get rid of them? And I'm like, dude, just put them over on the bank. Someone else will grab them and eat them. And he pulls out the biggest thing of bananas you've ever seen, dude. It looked like he straight
whole
cut
thing.
the whole damn tree down and had it in his
The
backpack.
boat lifted up when you let them out.
And then, dude, we put them on the bank, and we never caught another fish the rest of the day, dude.
Oh,
Never
even
had another
bad
bite.
juju. See,
I
having
hang
the
them on
boat,
my
you
rod sometimes, and if that rod goes off and the
I got
banana
another
peels in the
funny
water,
story, but I can't tell it. It's just not.
I have a saying for me when people bring bananas in my boat. I say, you guys
I appreciate the challenge.
bring them. I said, honestly, if I can't catch you guys fish today because you brought bananas, I'm going to go look for a new job.
Right.
Literally, it's time to find a new career.
So superstition is the magic 10%.
Yep.
Yes.
Apparently.
Yes.
Oh man! All right, guys. I think we are going to get out of here. A couple last second reminders because I don't know. Oh, We're not giving an ITX away, but Papa Marlin did not get 600. We mean it. And you know what? You know what we might do? We might just leave that.
Yeah, the thumbs ups are down
So
too.
we're going to leave that in here for next week. I'm going to give you guys one more week for the 600 on the ITX. But tonight, since you guys were good sports about it, we'll give you a convector. How about that? 354 DLX. Nice bait casting trolling reel. Great reel for steelhead plugs or kokanee or any of that. Anyways, we got that new in the box.
Sportsman show tickets.
Yeah, Sportsman show tickets are up, guys. And then for both Puyallup and Portland, kids, VIPs, and that regular, we still have somebody asked earlier about the golden ticket drawing. We haven't drawn yet because it's not over. It is over on December 31st at midnight. So if you guys have to do some last minute shopping.
People are definitely like purposely ordering a bunch to try to get entered.
Yeah, so like if you're gonna, you might want to get on it real quick.
Some cool prizes.
Get on that. There's some good stuff on the website still from the last drop. I don't even know. I haven't been on there for a little bit, but there's always good tackles to pick up. Yeah.
Still a few spinners left.
Few spinners left, few stuff. So nope, just a pro. It's not a bait and switch because you guys didn't make 600 for the ITX. So I want
Bait
one
and
more.
switch.
I want one more week of that. And guess what? We're judge, jury, and executioner here, so we can do what we want.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you don't want a convector reel, don't comment. How about that?
Watch, he'll win.
Watch. That would be
I
crazy.
hope he wins.
I saw a couple people talking about sturgeon season coming up. I know Ryan's going to be up there sturgeon fishing. I'll be up there sturgeon fishing. Maybe we'll be talking about that next week as well. Steelhead will have an update on that. You're going to go sturgeon fishing, dude?
Yeah.
Oh, Harmson's going sturgeon.
Yeah, my raft.
He's going to be out
Dude,
there with the raft.
I definitely will tell you behind my boat in your raft around the Columbia River sturgeon season.
You got
And
days
just
open?
when I say duck, I'm just casting leads over you, so don't worry.
Harmson, you got any days open? For Steelhead?
I do actually. I do have a handful of weekend dates too. If you guys are trying to get out on the weekends, hit me up. I'm got some availability.
I have a
Yeah.
feeling after this rain, to
This
see
drop-
like if I wasn't doing sturgeon next week, it'd be like, okay, I'd be out there.
There'll be
This
some
drop
fish.
Get
will
out.
definitely. I'll be in full swing steelhead. I've kind of been laying a little low the month of December, so.
Did you be
after
catching some? You've been
I-
posting some pictures.
Been getting into a handful.
Steel obsessions. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
No, you got warm temperatures too. I think those warm temperatures are like
Oh yeah.
the
I feel like if we
because
just
what
had
comes
the,
into the river is also gonna bite.
I feel like if we had this weather 2 weeks later, it would just be a bloodbath
God, there would
on,
be
these, on
steelhead.
all the coastal rivers.
It'd be really good.
Yeah.
So
What about you, Ryan? Are you booked out for sturgeon? And what about
I'm booked that first week. Me and Cameron are actually going to go do a little elk hunting on the couple days that it's off. So I opened up some days that are open. The second week I got room, and the third week if it goes. I think with the temps this year, you guys, that even with the 3 day a week, they're giving us 4 the first week. I think a lot of the fish are going to get mopped up because it's not 32-degree water temp, 34-degree water temp. So I definitely have room the second and third week, you guys, if you want to do sturgeon. And then after that, I'm on to steelhead all the way through until Cameron catches a springer in February.
That's right.
I'm doing it. All right.
Straight
Hey,
springer.
February 6th is my earliest, so keep talking, boys.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
I
Actually,
hope.
that year I got one on the 6th and I got one on the 9th.
I already
that
told
year,
him he
too.
gets $100. He's got to put in 3 days. That's it.
No, 3. No.
Well, you can't
One day.
half-ass it. You got to at least
One
try.
day. I'll give it a try.
All right.
When the rivers are all
Full-
blown out. and-
Yeah, full days.
After I see a
out.
few Facebook photos.
He's gonna lie to me.
Sturgeon live video. Maybe we could do something like that. I always forget to do that more often. Does Popoff guide in Oregon? Yes, he does.
Yes,
He's
I
very
do.
fish until-
They're trying to find out a way to get a hold of all of us.
Oh.
Oh, we don't have our lower thirds up. Sorry, guys. That's our production crew.
Sorry.
Lack of production crew.
Lack of production crew.
We'll say it's all new video tech stuff.
There's
so
Nick's.
We'll give him a little bit of a break for this week, right?
Just about time for
I didn't
that.
know you were coming. I didn't know you were coming.
You knew I was here.
Well,
Oh, look,
they,
I'm on there.
Well, yours is safe because you're here. More often.
they were here like, I mean,
Oh,
an
okay.
hour or two before. Like
I
we
wish you guys
started.
could see behind the closed doors before all this starts.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, what
No,
goes
no,
on.
Yeah.
no, I
How
don't.
about-
No.
Like
Clint
on
does so
point.
much.
Is Clint
Yeah,
a guide too?
Yeah, Clint guides.
Can you see how well he does
Hit him
something as
up.
so simple as producing a show? Do you trust him with your life on the water? Oh, look, he cut himself. What did you do?
It's not that bad, dude.
Jeez
Calm down.
Louise, he's got like blood coming down his finger. You're pathetic.
Oh, Clint's
Oh,
IT.
God.
Clint's IT guide service.
Oh man! All right, you guys. I think what
Yeah.
we're gonna do.
Remember,
going
pay
straight
attention to those
downhill.
details and watch the conditions, and don't be shy to adapt and change and try to get it figured out, you guys. It's
Pay
it
attention.
really starts clicking once you have success with it. Don't get discouraged and just don't get stuck on one thing or another thing. Just constantly adapt with the winter steelhead and change. So
And if you need help too, the fastest way to do it,
Hire
the
a guy.
fastest way to see it is hire one of these three guys.
yep.
No.
Go with the guide. You're
question.
going to get a lot of steps, ahead of the game, and then you can. And a lot of stuff that works for me or you might be different than for him or Cameron.
Oh, for
So
sure. We all have our.
it's kind of
our-
like
our
a
power
baseline
moves.
when you go out and you learn from people and figure out what works for you the best and be successful.
Yep.
Clint, pick a winner, and we are gonna get on out of here. Don't forget, guys, the tickets are up for
Oh, the
y'all
winner,
in
Nick
Portland.
Papa. All right.
We have Jody Winger going to kill Steel on Monday.
Yeah.
I would say that would be definitely a good day to be out there. Congratulations, you won a Convector 354 DLX Deluxe. But you got to email orders at addicted.fishing. Send us your address. Send us what you won. I know next week we'll have a couple more prize packs for you. And maybe an ITX. I don't know. I feel like I should just take that ITX, but we'll see. We'll see.
Don't let
It
this
might
thing
be
go to
there.
the bass world.
It might be there. It's going to the bass.
Please.
It's gonna,
Pressing.
do that ITX some justice.
I'm just going to
No.
give it to Layden before Cameron
Yeah.
gets it.
Yeah, I guess what he'll do.
Probably go bass fishing.
I'll take him steelhead
put it
fishing
on
in the
there.
sled.
We'll actually catch him some steelhead. Get him addicted to it.
You're so dumb. All righty, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. We're leaving.
Thank you
Yeah,
guys.
have a good night.
Peace. Check out my gloves.